To the Blitz podcast. As always, it is your host, Mr. Kane Schwartz, and I'm joined by these two, fabulous gentlemen. Sure, Jaden Kozak, Tyler North. We got the after hours running tonight, which is pretty dope. It's our second late night podcast. How we feeling? Juiced up, Jaden?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I mean, probably going to be the most exciting division to talk about. All four of these teams made big moves, so we got a lot to talk about.
Tyler, you feeling wired for sound?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Is this might be the most exciting division compared to the last time I was on? We did AFC South, and that's probably the worst division. So talk about highs and the lows of the NFL is right here on display in the last two episodes that I've been on.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, this is going to be a great episode, and having you guys on makes it even better. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, man. All right, well, let's hop into it. What we got on the docket? Let me get the. I realized the graphic wasn't displayed all pretty, but if it wasn't clear, we're doing the AFC West today, and we're super hyped for it, man. Wired for sound, as Tyler said. So, I mean, yeah, it's probably the best division, and probably we're gonna have a decent amount of debate on this one for sure.
I think it's not only the best, the most exciting though. Like you said, each team was making moves this offseason. It's just a lot in one division. I mean, you could basically just take the AFC West and let them play each other, throughout the year for 16, 17 games and then decide a winner. And I think everybody will kind of be okay with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Oh, dude, what the fuck am I doing yawning? I am wired right now. Jeez.
Those two, I was going to say those two monsters.
I only downed one of them.
Should have went Red Bull.
Yeah, come on. Fuck the Red Bull. All right. Can I turn everybody on real
quick?
But it
gives you wings.
It does. And I was on the Red Bull train, for a while, my freshman year, and then, most of summer. And then this school year, well, all of summer. And then this school year, these Monster Juices, man. And
we were talking about that.
They are not a sponsor, but if Monster Energy wants to be our first sponsor ever, that would be fantastic. Yeah, of course
we'd love to have you.
But these shits are gas. The Mango Loco, what I the Blitz recommendations. I'll speak for all of us. All right, it's time for some fucking football talk. We do have the best division in football ahead of us today, so can't wait to dive into that. So, without further ado, let's dive into the Las Vegas Raiders to lead us off. So, as the graphic shows, on the addition side, they bring in head coach Josh McDaniels over from New England, which to say it was surprising might even be an understatement because McDaniels seemed to be he could have gotten a head coaching position anytime he wanted, in my opinion. I mean, he had a job ready and lined up in Indianapolis back in 2016, 17, something like that, and then backed out of it last minute. They even had the press conference scheduled and everything, but he backs out, and then it was just expected this guy's going to stay in New England and he's going to come after Belichick, but didn't happen. So guess he's going to the Raiders now. But hey, all the best hopes to Josh McDaniels, and he's probably going to fucking crush it with. Are we taking Tyler? Are we taking Derek Carr or Mac Jones? If you're Josh McDaniels.
Probably going to be taking Derek Carr. I mean, look at the weapons he's got. First of all, the one question I wanted to ask right off the bat, Josh McDaniels, where is he ranking on your new coaches going into this year? There's 9 of them. And I can read them off to you really quickly. Brian Dable, Doug Peterson, Josh McDaniels, Kevin O'Connell, Lovie Smith, Nathaniel Hackett, Matt Eberflus, Mike McDaniel, and I think there's one more, Dennis Allen in New Orleans.
And Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
And Todd Bowles, yes.
The notables there for me, McDaniel, Mike McDaniel, and then Hackett for sure, notable for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the guy who led to Aaron Rodgers to another MVP season back to back. I mean, shit.
I think Dable's the only one that I'd have out in front of him.
I agree with that.
I like Eberflus, but not for Chicago with the current situation that they have.
I also think we talked about it. I think the Doug EP signing or bringing him in to coach Trevor Lawrence. Like, I think that could be a really good signing. Obviously, they need a little bit more pieces there, but I think 2-3 years down the road, that could be the best signing. We never know, but I think Josh McDaniels is a great. I mean, we're sitting here saying he's top 3. He's in that top 3 group of coaching signings.
Like at any given point, I feel like he was top 5. Like if people knew he was in consideration for a head coaching job, I feel like he would have been top 5 for every single team in the NFL. Head coach, like 4 vacancies. So after these couple years, but I'm also a fan of Kevin O'Connell, man. I think he's gonna do good things.
I am.
I've seen him interviewed and stuff like that. I mean, he's fucking ready to ball out. So I'm all in on Kevin O'Connell too. But Josh McDaniels definitely a home run hire to say the least. So
and then you were trying to throw some shade early on with Derek Carr, Mac Jones, trying to throw that in my face right away, right off the bat, right? We're getting right back to the Mac Jones MVP talk.
You know it. Gotta stay true to our roots here, man.
I think Derek Carr might be the most resilient player in the NFL. The guy has gone through the gauntlet when it comes to coaching hirings, when it comes to having picks, arrested, whatever you want to label him as. I think he's gone through so much crap with the Raiders, moving cities. Yeah.
And he brought James Conner recovering from leukemia.
I'm talking about in the scheme, the grand sphere of football here. I'm not talking about other factors, because then we can go to Shaquem Griffin playing with one arm. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, we can keep doing that. But I think I want to throw this out there. Would you rather with Derek Carr, Russell Wilson, or Derek Carr?
Russell Wilson.
I might take Derek Carr, dude. I'm a fan this year. I'm all in.
This season's going to prove that, because we obviously saw the last half of the season when he got back healthy, and it wasn't pretty. It wasn't what we remember of Russell Wilson.
Healthy.
I'm still going to lean on the side of what
we
think Russell Wilson was. Yeah, and obviously we'll talk about that. But if we come into the season and we see a lot of what we saw in the second half, then that really is going to change a lot of opinions on what Russell Wilson is, and we're going to start seeing the decline, and we might see some bad things for Denver after all that they just gave up. But we'll get into that.
Yeah. For
sure. Rapid fire there. Ready?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Dak Prescott, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, Derek Carr.
Kyler Murray.
Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr.
Derek Carr. But I think if you Trevor Lawrence is like, I know everybody's shitting on him right now.
He's ready.
He played terrible last year. But
with Dougie P,
I think we're going to see a big jump.
Mitch is not a fan. Mitch is not a fan of Trevor Lawrence.
I couldn't, I literally came up because he
looks like a whole new quarterback without Urban Meyer there.
He came up the court side that night, and I was like, dude, do you actually believe that? And he sat and explained to me why he actually believed it. And I was like,
grab a seat. Let me explain to you why.
I literally did. I just leaned up against the bar. I was like, do you actually believe that?
Let's have a conversation.
All right, 4 more. Jalen Hurts.
Derek Carr by $1 million. Not even close.
Carson Wentz.
Derek Carr by $100 million.
Jameis Winston.
Derek Carr. What are we talking about here?
These are getting easy.
And then my last one that I had on here was Matt Ryan.
Dude, hot take. I think Derek Carr, top 5 MVP candidate.
I mean, okay. Let's just dive into it all. Let's do it. What combo is better between Renfro, Devontae, and Waller?
What do you mean,
between
what combos are better?
2 wide receiver and 1 tight end. I don't think there's another combo out there that's better in the NFL, because now that Tyreek's gone.
Debo, Ayuk, and Kittle is close, maybe.
Yeah, that's the only one that I can really think of, because that's the only other dominant tight end that has a good receiver with him. Like Andrews has nobody, Kelsey has nobody now. Hawkinson really doesn't have anybody in there with him. Pitts has absolutely no one. Yeah. And then it's a big drop off after
it's definitely
that. If you want to count Dallas Goedert and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, but I'm still taking what Vegas has.
That's a good one. I like that one. That one might challenge it, honestly, for real. I think Dallas Goedert, he's a dog. He's a certified dog.
Yeah.
But like I said, top 5, I really do believe that Derek Carr is poised for, he's going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. Mark it. That's what it might.
I don't know. We're gonna get into this offensive line here in a minute.
All
And,
right, sweet.
might have to retract that statement.
All right. Last thing I'll mention about Derek Carr, and then we'll get into the rest of the additions and subtractions. But and they're not. Derek Carr is not a new addition, so
Of course, I was going to say, of course,
He did get a new contract.
Not on that list.
yeah, he did get a new contract. You're right. That's very true.
We're going to talk,
and
about
that should filter into the addition side too. But I will say that Dan Orlovsky, and I mentioned this on one podcast ago, he came out with a list of quarterbacks that you can like win with, win because of, and then not win with. And Derek Carr was one of those guys that you could win because of, because so many years he was just throwing to jack shit, and he was still winning them games by himself. Like, was he winning a lot of games? No.
Also,
because he didn't have anybody. But he was winning games just because of Derek Carr. Like, that was the reason.
Happened to walk by the TV today on ESPN. He has the third most passing touchdowns through his first 2 seasons in NFL history. Had no idea.
Is that
Only behind Dan Marino and Herbert.
wow?
Dan Marino or Derek Carr?
And I like
Dan Marino, Derek
Super
Carr.
under the radar. I mean, he's done it.
I
He's done it
mean,
very quietly
yeah.
because think about where he is. He was in this
Exactly.
phase of like, you had Rodgers, you had Brady, you had Peyton toward the end of Peyton's
towards
career.
the end.
Big Ben,
Yeah, Big Ben.
yep, Rivers, and then you got this new wave of guys. It was like,
Well,
Rodgers
he also
and
came
Stafford overshadowed what he was doing as well. But he came in with like RG3 and Luck and that whole and Mariota and Winston.
He came in 2014, and that was the Clowney year. And he was pretty sure he was like a second round.
He
pick.
was.
And that was the Bortles year.
Yeah,
So
okay.
like no good quarterbacks up at the top. So he wasn't really thought about like very highly. I think he won the job in his rookie year, didn't he?
I believe he did. Yeah, did he start his first game?
I mean, he had to start, pretty soon to get 53 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons.
Sure. But I don't know if it was that. I guess it was that first game. I guess they were like, we got nothing to lose.
Oh my God, dude! The Raiders got Derek Carr and Khalil Mack in the same class.
Wow.
Hey, they're both still in the
That
AFC West.
That was pre-Mayock. Pre-Mayock era. So.
Yeah.
All right. Let's dive into the rest of the Raiders. So, haven't even mentioned this guy yet, but motherfucking Davante Adams is now a Las Vegas Raider, in case anybody was living under a rock during this offseason. Davante Adams probably not. I mean, it's not really a debate that he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, but he threw a comment out. Is Derek Carr better than Aaron Rodgers? Because my man threw that comment.
What is he
out.
supposed to say, man? He's gotta hype
All
this
these
dude
all
up.
these quarterbacks.
It's his college
Right, but
quarterback.
it's just like,
Come on.
I understand that, but like Tyreek Hill's doing the same thing with Tua. It's like,
what are you gonna do?
you can praise your quarterback without saying that they're better than your previous quarterback and throwing shade at your previous quarterback and your previous team.
I don't think he
Like,
was. He didn't say he was better. He was like talent wise. Derek Carr is right there. Is like on the same level as Aaron Rodgers, which is not like that's not a diss. Like that's not
true.
I mean, it's
I don't
probably
think
not
it's
true. But hey, congratulations, Derek Carr. Let's go. Being as good as
I
Aaron
understand
Rodgers.
having confidence. Like I said, I understand having the confidence in your quarterback and like you're on a new team and obviously you got to give him his hype and everything. But it's like I said, there's just some things that you don't have to say or compare. Like you don't need to do the comparison.
Yes, you do, because a lot of people are asking that question, like, how is it to go
Yeah,
from
and you
Aaron
deflect the
Rodgers to
answers
Derek
and-
Carr? And the answer to
that makes quote graphics.
what?
Yes, if you're given that question, you say, yeah, both guys are great. I had some great success in Green Bay with Rodgers. Rodgers throws a great ball. I'm excited to see what we're going to be able to do here with the Fresno State connection. I think we've got a great team that we've got ready to go. I think Derek Carr throws a great ball. I think he's a great quarterback, but you don't have to sit. You can deflect these questions. You can BS your way around.
Yeah, but then you BS your way around,
We'll get
and then
the
it's like,
transcript
oh,
and we'll
like
send it to his
you're
agent.
not getting thrown the ball in training camp, and then you're like, oh shit, probably because I was talking shit on Derek Carr.
I don't think that Derek Carr is going to not
I was about
throw
to say,
him the ball because
I
of
can't
that.
imagine Davante Adams is going to.
You said Aaron Rodgers was better than me. I'm not going to throw you the ball. Come on.
Dude,
We are
he
friends.
did say talent wise, like, so that means that Aaron
It's also his
Rodgers
college-
on a mental level is on a completely different breed. Like he's a champion.
We're like 15 minutes in, and we've gotten to the second
It's good
edition
talk,
of our
though,
first
man.
team.
Good talk. Come on. We're talking about
Yeah.
motherfucking
All right,
Davante Adams here. So, anyway, they did bring in Davante Adams. I believe it was 5 years, right? Signed to that contract. Yeah, so
I think it is. You know, I think it was. I think him and did Tyreek get 5 too? Did they both get 5, or did Tyreek only get 4?
Tyreek got 4.
Okay, but 120 on that. Yeah.
I think Tyreek Hill got more on a per year basis because that contract came after.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Davante Adams headed to the Las Vegas Raiders. A little context: got franchise tagged in Green Bay. Didn't think he was gonna play on that franchise tag. Like, he was really upset about that. And then he ends up getting traded to the Raiders. And apparently the Packers, they made him a better. This is from Aaron Rodgers. Like, he alluded to the fact that they offered him a better contract than the Raiders did. But Davante Adams heard, like, because the way that Aaron Rodgers' contract is set up, they reported it as like 3 years, I believe, 4 years. But he has an opt-out after every single season. So he can.
Yeah, every quarterback of that caliber has an opt-out whenever they want.
Yeah.
You did. If Patrick Mahomes wanted to opt out tomorrow, he could.
Well, like, he actually has an opt-out, like, in the contract, like, legally. And
Right.
Like a player option
Right,
type of situation.
exactly. And with that player option, he didn't want to, like, be at the will of Aaron Rodgers. Like, he didn't want to sign a 5-year deal and then just, like, Aaron after next year, he's just like, okay, I'm going to retire. And then he ends up with a shitty quarterback, you know? So he knew that Aaron Rodgers wasn't in it for the next 5 years. Like, he was non-committal. So I would have done the same thing. You know, he wants to be one of the greats. So go ahead and ball out, man. Get your money. Do it. All right. So, also on the addition side, they bring in guard Dylan Parham. They also bring in outside linebacker Chandler Jones, one of the great vets in this league. Lit up the scene last year with 5 sacks in the first game, and then didn't really make too much noise after that, but he's still motherfucking Chandler Jones. Did you guys know that he's John Jones' brother? I didn't figure that out until late in the game.
Because there was also the third one, which was Arthur Jones, I believe, who was the defensive tackle on the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Chandler Jones, are him and Max Crosby the best pass rushing duo in football?
Mac and Bosa.
I mean, like, as far as pure
Mac and
edges
Bosa,
go,
that comes to mind right away.
I would.
Mac and Bosa was the other one that was on top of my mind too.
As far like Hayward, depending on what you want to call Cam Hayward, like, that's kind of weird.
Right?
I would take Hayward and TJ Watt as players over.
Okay, well then
Chandler
you
Jones and
got to
Crosby.
start throwing. I don't know, like, you got to start throwing the Commanders in that question. Like, I hate to sound ridiculous, but we do have Chase Young, we do have De'Aaron Payne, we do have Jonathan Allen, and we do have Montez Sweat.
Yeah, but those are like
Duo.
He's like a true tackle. Cam Hayward's an end.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I was going to say.
Kane and Allen are like
Yeah,
tackles.
Yeah, I should specify two ends. Like, are they the best end duo in football? And Mac and Bosa were right up there. But
who's the other end in San Francisco opposite the other Bosa?
Eric Armstead.
That's pretty solid.
it's really good too. I think Chandler Jones has the most sacks the last 2 years or the last 3 years combined, something like that, in football.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting debate. I mean, adding Chandler Jones to your squad definitely does not hurt. They also bring in cornerback Rock Yassin from the Colts after they let him go.
Oh, I completely forgot. Dude, I was trying to figure out how to fill out that damn graphic. Completely forgot Yannick Ngakoue. Like, I literally have the player that they traded Ngakoue for.
Yeah.
And Rock Yassin. Forgot Ngakoue.
Yeah, so.
Fuck. It's like a big old blank space there.
Oh, also on the addition side, if you want to count this, they did sign Hunter Renfrow to a 3-year extension. So he's there to stick around for a little bit. But on the departure side, like you said, Jaden, Yannick Ngakoue, he's headed out of town. You got Marcus Mariota now in Atlanta. You got wide receiver Zay Jones, the worst wide receiver in the NFL, the National Football League, and there's no debate about that. But yeah.
NFL, the National Football League.
But yeah, Zay Jones is headed out of town. Obviously a crushing blow for the Raiders. And then Casey Hayward also hitting the road, Jack, from the Raiders to, where's Casey Hayward now?
Atlanta.
Okay. But yeah, so what we thinking, boys? Initial thoughts, favorite moves, worst moves. Jaden, you want to kick us off? I mean, not that we've already been talking about.
Favorite moves gotta be Devontae. I mean, when you add a player of that caliber, pretty much regardless of what you give up, especially when you got the connection there with Derek Carr, you had a massive need at a wide receiver one because Hunter Renfrow, let's face it, is never going to be a wide receiver one. I'd been, saying all offseason, I was like, listen, Carr is fine. You could I think it's very he's about right in the middle of you can win because of and you can win with Carr.
I agree with that.
He's right in the middle of that. And before they got Devontae Adams, this was a terrible roster. They had Hunter Renfrow, they had Waller, they had no offensive line, they had no weapons outside of that. The defense was bad. I was saying trade Derek Carr for 3 firsts, go get a top quarter because you will be the worst team in the league without Derek Carr. Go get a top quarterback and be right back in this, especially in the division now where before they got Devontae Adams, everybody was like, they have no chance, regardless of what they did this past season. But they go out and they retool and they did it with a lot of big names. Chandler Jones, another one. I don't know if he's that good anymore. I don't think he's going to come in and be the best edge on the team. That's for sure.
But he takes the double team away from Crosby.
If he's your number 2 guy, then that's fantastic. I kind of like what they did. If they're going to go all in, I think they did it about as good as they possibly could.
Yeah, for sure.
I totally agree with that. I think underrated moves that they made, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on the record now. Demarcus Robinson is going to have at least one big game against the Chiefs. It's just going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be in Vegas. I don't know if it's going to be in Kansas City, but there's going to be one game where he has 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Mark it.
I like that.
Market. I would say, I mean, you can't go wrong with Devontae. I mean, it's arguably the best move in football to bring in the number 1 wide receiver. I mean, there were a lot of big offseason acquisitions this year, and that one's right at the top, if not at the top. So you can't go wrong with there. But I'll go back to the Chandler Jones. I just think that now that Crosby isn't going to have the double team, I mean, Max Crosby has turned into one of the premier outside rushers in football. And the fact that he's going to have some more opening is only going to make him better. Like you said, Chandler Jones at U2, that's not bad. And Rock Ya-Sin, I think it's going to be kind of a prove-it year for him because I was going to say the corner situation is just not good, to put it very, very lightly. So I think that can help him. Obviously, having the pass rushers is going to help corners. That just is normally how that goes. So I think that it can really help out Rock Ya-Sin as well as having Chandler Jones and Max Crosby being able to apply pressure.
I mean, talk about 2 guys that can wreak havoc. I mean, those guys are beasts. Those guys get hype, man. Those guys get hype after those. I mean, these are guys who are going to wreak havoc for sure. I'm excited. Jacob McLaren hits us with his traditional Go Ravens comment. Thank you very much. Go.
What's your guys' off-season grade?
I'll go ahead and go first. Bring in Josh McDaniels. I mean, he's been putting together one of the best offenses in New England for the past couple years, or not just the past couple years, for a very long time. I mean, he led Tom Brady to Super Bowls. You just saw what he did with Mac Jones. Fantastic. So I can't imagine what he's going to do with Derek Carr, who's already a great quarterback. And then you add Devontae Adams. And then you re-sign Hunter Renfrow. And, I mean, that offensive line is a problem. And that defense is also a significant problem. But those 2 guys are going to wreak havoc, Mason Crosby and Chandler Jones up front. So that should do enough. And then they're going to have the offense to keep up with teams now. So I like it. I'll go ahead and slap a B+ on it. A-. That's what I'm going to go with. Tyler?
Yeah, I have it as, I was flirting between B+ and A-. I'm going to list it as an A-. They addressed positions of need, but they didn't do much in the draft, if anything at all. I mean, they didn't, they lost their first round pick. So I understand. Yeah, I understand that. But the offensive line is just a big old major hole right now. Which is crazy to think about because 2 years ago, I think they were ramping up to be one of the best offensive lines in football. And
then they cut everybody.
Right. It's funny how quickly it can change. So I still think that that's a glaring need. But yeah, I like what they've done. We talked about it. They've set themselves up for success. They've set themselves up to be Super Bowl contenders. And anything, I would say anything short of like at least one playoff win, getting to the second round in the playoffs is going to be a failure of a season.
Yeah, for sure. And also one more thing, like you got to think about.
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say I got them at 11-6. I looked at their schedule, and that's about what I came up with. And the game to watch I had was Chargers-Raiders, rematch of last year. It's both teams' first game in December to start the stretch run. And we know how that game was last year, and it's back in that date specifically is back in Vegas. So that's why I like that and could have some division championship implications.
Their over-under win total, 8.5.
Yeah.
But you got to think about their division, and also their strength of schedule is, let me check that out. They are tied for seventh.
But that's because of the division that they play in, and we talked about that. But here's the other thing is they play the AFC South. This whole division does. In my opinion, that's at least 3 wins per team in this division.
Right. Yeah. One last thing that I wanted to say on my take. You got to think about what they did last year. Like, they had a really sucky offensive line last year, and they had a really bad defense for the most part. Like, they just added to what they already had, and you look at what they did last year. Obviously, the division's a lot better this year. But
their number 1 pick got arrested, and that doesn't help.
Yeah, no, that doesn't help at all for sure.
Two, both. Yeah, my bad.
But they were still balling out, like you said, Derek.
And then
Carr.
You had the John, and then you had the John Gruden drama going on too.
Right, exactly. And they took that team from last year who was successful, and they only added some of the best, most notable players in the game right now to that team. So, yes, those are still needs.
But they lost Zay Jones.
You're true. Jaden, does that put you down to a C-, I imagine?
Yeah, I mean, Davante Adams just can't replace what Zay Jones brings to a football team.
Jacob, we are being sarcastic, man. Jacob is one of those guys that would believe that Davante Adams is better than Zay Jones, and we hate Zay Jones.
Breaking news.
Tyler's a huge fan of Zay Jones for some reason. He's all over his cock. Couldn't tell you why. But
he showed flashes last year. I mean, when
what NFL pro wide receiver doesn't show flashes?
I mean, he made the most of his opportunities.
Flashes. You could say that about anybody. He showed flashes. Okay. All right. I won't attack you for the Zay Jones take anymore. But Jaden, go ahead. Take the floor, my friend.
I'm probably going to lean towards the B+ side. I know that both of you were debating on that. And it's not because I didn't like what they did. Like I said, if you did want to go all in, I think you did it about as best as you could. You go get Davante Adams, who's a legit difference maker. I mean, that's a force multiplier like pretty much no other in the NFL. You add more. And then even what they did with their few draft picks, I think Dylan Parham was a great pick. He was, getting a lot of second round buzz. I think Neil Farrell was also a great pick. Their run defense was pretty bad towards the end of the year last year. The whole idea of buying in with what you had currently constructed, I can't get behind it. And I feel like no matter, it's pretty apparent, and I mean, obviously I could be wrong where it's June, but I don't think this team's winning a Super Bowl this year. And to go out and give up the stuff that they did, I mean, you still have Trayvon Mullen and Rocky Sin as your 2 starting corners. You have Jermaine Illuminor, Andre James, Denzel Good, and Brandon Parker as your left guard through right tackle. There's just a lot of things that I'm concerned about here. I mean, that's 2 legit problems.
You were saying this was straight up the worst team in football.
I was. And roster-wise, there was an argument to be made that they were. They just
added on that terrible.
I was a Raider believer there.
They played.
Oh yeah, me too, man.
They played Cinderella all year, and good for them. But I think a lot of that good fortune just isn't really going to fall their way this year. It always comes back to the medium. It always comes back to the middle. That variance that they got last year, I think might kind of fall down for them. I mean, Tyler already said his win total. I think I had them at 9 or 8. I'm kind of leaning that way.
9 or 8, right? The 2 sides of the over-under.
Well,
Whether or not you're 500 or not.
Well, so I'm leaning. Yeah, I'm leaning away from Tyler, I guess. Because Tyler had them.
I had it 11-6. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that variance is going to come back to bite them this year, and they're not.
All right, you're doubling down on the Raiders' sake. Okay.
You know what else we haven't talked about this entire time when talking about the Raiders? A healthy Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not saying he's an elite running back, but he's still he's out of running back. He's a top 15 running back. I would say that.
Oh yeah.
And he was he was a running back last year that people were writing off. I mean, he was the guy that coming into the season. I mean, I know me from a fantasy perspective, I wanted no part of Josh Jacobs going into last year's fantasy season, and he actually did.
Well, I think that was Kenyon. That was Kenyon Drake.
Correct.
I think a lot of that was like them bringing him in, especially with
him
having a starting role.
He was on
with Arizona,
right? He's not there again.
I think he's back in Miami, right?
He broke his. No, he's still in Vegas, but he broke his ankle in the last game of the season.
That's what it was, yeah.
So
Josh Jacobs
I don't know how soon he'll be back, but they did. Their second pick was Zamir White from Georgia, the running back from Georgia. So they also declined Josh Jacobs' fifth-year option. So all signs point to the fact that this is his last year in
Contract
Vegas.
Year.
Yeah, it is a contract year, but I feel like as a running back, that can't be much motivation for you because you're even if you go ball out, everybody's just gonna be like, "Oh, okay."
The running back,
cool.
with injury history.
Saquon's contract is gonna be up this year, and nobody.
Saquon or Josh Jacobs, who you taking?
Honestly, that's a hell
Saquon. That thought in my head of Saquon being the best as far as position value aside, probably the best prospect.
His muscles are too big on his legs that they're getting injured too often.
That just can't escape my mind.
All right, rapid fire, David Montgomery.
Or Josh Jacobs. David Montgomery.
Yeah, Monty was
Damian Harris, Josh Jacobs.
Josh Harris.
Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs.
Lenny.
Fuck.
And the final one.
I'm a fan of Josh Jacobs too.
God, that's so tough because I think Lenny benefits from not having to be like a workhorse back where he can, split with.
He might have to this year.
Ronald Jones.
He might have to this year.
You have Tom Brady.
You don't got. I know Gio's still there, but you don't got Rojo anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how good he is, but I think that he just gets the benefit from all that going on around,
also,
and you just get to go punch
Tom
people in the
Brady's
mouth.
Quarterback. That also.
That's
Josh Jacobs, Ezekiel Elliott. Final one.
Damn.
See.
Well, Kane, I know you're very strongly opinionated about this one.
Why? How's that?
Your little Ezekiel Elliott's going to be outside of the stadium with a cardboard sign that says "I need a job" or "I need money" in week 2. I remember that. That was a moment on the podcast.
Pollard is still I've talked to Cowboys fans. They believe that Pollard's a better running back, and this is not just one Cowboys fan. They believe that Pollard's a better running back. And that might be a little biased because they're paying a whole shit ton of money to Zeke Elliott, and I can't imagine that they're very happy about that. But they believe that they want Tony Pollard to be the guy. So these are Cowboys fans.
All right, wait, bonus one. J.K. Dobbins, Josh Jacobs.
Got to take Josh Jacobs.
I can't buy the J.K.
Got to take Josh Jacobs because we haven't seen Dobbins play.
All right.
So
there it is.
All right. Good shit, boys. So let's move on to the next team on our plates, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And oh, how far they have fallen. Just kidding. They did lose Tyreek. Which, dude, have you guys been seeing what he's been saying?
He went out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. There's no graphic on.
Oh, really? How about that?
Oh, there it is. You're good.
All right, sweet. But have you guys been
went away.
What? You should be able to see it. What are we talking about? Yeah.
I see it.
Come on now. I can see it on
I don't have it on. I'm on Skype and I don't see it.
Weird. Anyway, did you guys see the comments from Ty Hill on his new podcast? I think it's had to be said or something. He just had his first episode and he further shit on Patrick Mahomes. He was dude, the last year, Andy, anytime that I wasn't in the game, he told Patrick, he was look, man, it's going to be a rough day. Because, obviously you got to keep an eye out for the cheetah. When the cheetah's not on the field, like, it's a different ball game. And honestly, it was. And
which is common
yes,
sense.
very
Right.
true. And they asked,
I mean, I'm not going to take away from Tyreek Hill, but like,
and they asked him whether he preferred the long ball of Patrick Mahomes or the accuracy of Tua, and he was like, I'd rather get it right in the bread basket and take it 70 yards like he did against, I forget what it was. But
Bills in the playoffs. I was there.
Yeah.
pretty big.
By the way, just add that to the fact that Blitz Pod was there up until the most important part of the game, and my phone died, and I could not document it, and I was so mad.
This was it. But
Best game I've ever been to. Maybe one of the best playoff games ever, but nonetheless.
dude, as far as NFL games
big
go,
deal.
like I haven't been to any that are like holy shit, like I'll never forget. Because FedEx,
I mean,
any
I
game
hadn't
that you go to FedEx, you're not gonna fucking like it. So that's how it is.
Yeah, I'd never been to a game up until that point. I think the most dramatic game I saw was Randy Moss walking off the field at FedEx early before the game was over. That was like the most exciting moment I think I saw.
All right, let's dive into the rest of the Chiefs. So, on their addition side, they bring in Juju Smith-Schuster on a hell of a cheap deal, and I'm taking a full 180 on Juju Smith-Schuster, but we'll dive into that a little later. But they got him super cheap. What was it, like 1 year, $2 million?
8 mil, 9 mil?
No, it was like 3 mil.
Was it
2
really that
mil,
cheap? Wow.
something like that. Because we had that debate, and you guys thought it was going to be double digits, and ended up being like 2 or 3 million. But they also bring in wide receiver Mark.
1 year, 10.75 mil.
What?
1 year, 10.75 mil.
That can't be right.
I think that's all
Incentive base.
I think that's all incentives. Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I did hear there was a lot of incentive, but they also bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling from Green Bay, and they ended up paying him more than Juju Smith-Schuster, which I thought was crazy to say the least.
Kane, it's 1 year, 3.2 mil, and then 1.4 signing bonus, and then 2.5 in incentives.
Okay, yeah, so 3.5.
I don't know if that gets us to where we need to be, but that's what it says.
Fair enough. But they also bring in Marquez Valdez-Scantling from Green Bay. They bring in George Karlaftis in the draft, which we were all pretty high on Karlaftis, so nice addition there out of Purdue. And they also brought in Trent McDuffie in the draft, another solid pickup. And they bring in safety Justin Reed to replace the Honey Badger. But yeah, they bring him in from Houston. So on the departure side, as I said, the Cheetah, Tyreek Hill, fastest man alive, if you want to put it that way. He is now out of town in KC. Melvin Ingram, the 1 year addition, he is out of town. Defensive tackle Jerron Reed, he is out of town. Cornerback Travarius Ward, he's hitting the road. And like I said, the Honey Badger, safety Tyrann Mathieu is now no longer a Kansas City Chief. He is now a Saint. So, boys, what are we thinking off the bat? Jaden, guess I'll toss it to you. Or Tyler, you go ahead. You looked like you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was just, obviously losing Tyreek Hill is big. Losing Tyrann Mathieu is big. Those are like, obviously, Honey Badger and Cheetah. Not only are they like ferocious animals, but like those are guys that bring swagger. And that's one thing that I feel like they have lost, is that they've lost their swagger from, the previous years. And it's going to be hard to just in 1 year flip the switch and just bring that back. I think it's something that they might struggle with early on. But I think as the year goes on, I think that group of wide receivers is going to find their chemistry with Mahomes, because a lot of times with Tyreek Hill, it was a bunch of, schoolyard bullshit. Like it would be like, okay, Tyreek, just go find space. These are going to be more timed routes. These are going to be more in sync type of formations that they're going to run. It's going to be more on the fundamental side of things rather than just here, go out, run, sling it, and let's see what happens. But I like Juju, MVS, drafting Sky Moore. I think those three additions, along with, who knows, maybe Justin Ross ends up being some diamond in the rough that they find. But those three, along with Mecole Hardman, Josh Gordon's still there. They've got 5 capable wide receivers, I think, Pringle might be there. I'm not sure if Pringle's still there or not.
Pringle's in Chicago.
That's right. Yeah.
And if you,
But
I think Meek Cole, it's a compliment calling him serviceable.
Okay, but if he's your 4 behind Juju, MVS, Sky Moore, Travis Kelce, still the best tight end in the league, is there as well. Don't forget that. So I think that, you lost Tyreek Hill, but you replaced him with a decent group coming in. And then also you lose Tyrann Mathieu, but you replace him with Justin Reed. So the guys that they lost, they were able to replace. I think Karlaftis is great. You lose Ward, but you draft McDuffie. Everything that they lost, they ended up replacing, which is why I think that they, in my opinion, had more of one of the better underrated off seasons in football. It's not getting talked about because of what they lost, but nobody's talking about what they brought in to replace that. Yes, they might, if it's a bucket of water and there's a hole, they took some Band-Aids and some tape and kind of patched it up because that's all that they could do. There was no way they were going to sign Tyreek Hill to the deal that he wanted, and they had to do what they needed to do to still stay in this Super Bowl window. Did they take a hit? Yes. How much remains to be seen. But I still think that they're going to be one of the best teams in football. You've still got a quarterback that's on his way to a Hall of Fame career at the helm. And Andy Reid's one of the great coaches. So I think that they're still going to be okay. And I like what they did on the defensive side of the ball as well.
Fair enough. Jaden, what you got in response to that?
Yeah, I'm going to echo that a little bit. I love what they did in the draft. Bringing in McDuffie at 21st, Karlaftis at 30, Sky Moore with the 22nd pick in the second round. Brian Cook, I didn't like as much.
Do you think there's an argument to be made
still,
that they had the best draft?
Add something else there. Yeah, I mean, if Baltimore didn't have as many picks as they did and hit on all those picks, or what we perceive to be a hit on all those picks, I think we'd be talking about Kansas City a lot more. But Brian Cook comes in, replaces Daniel Sorensen.
I mean,
bada bing, bada boom.
Sorensen is addition by subtraction, man. I've never heard a fan base rip on a player more than Kansas City has ripped on Daniel Sorensen, and rightfully so. I mean, he was absolutely awful.
Yeah, and then Leo Chenal, a guy that there was points 2 weeks away from the draft. I was mocking him in the first round. They get him with a compensatory pick. It was 105, something like that they got him. He's a fantastic athlete. I think he's going to do wonders for the middle of their defense. You add him in there with Nick Bolton and Willie Gay. I mean, you kind of do have one of the better young linebacking cores in the league now. You add Karlaftis in to replace Melvin Ingram. You've got a lot of pieces working here, and then they get to work in free agency. Yeah, I think Tyreek is a big loss, obviously. I think that taking away, literally, because Tyreek Hill has something that no one else has, that speed. You can't run man coverage against the Kansas City Chiefs with Tyreek Hill on the field. You just couldn't. And now that's an option. That is literally a coverage that Patrick Mahomes probably hasn't seen more than 5% of the time in the NFL yet. And he's going to see it 50% of the time now because he's not there. MVS is fast. He's not Tyreek fast. Nobody's Tyreek fast. But when you can take those picks, because they got 5 picks out of that, Darian Kennard, lineman out of Kentucky.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to slander the Hia Terp with Hia Cat. I'm not going to disrespect it. Need to come up with another saying, though.
Thank you.
I need to differentiate the two. Anyway, continue.
Do a meow or a growl, something maybe.
Let's workshop a little bit because I'm not sure.
Dude, come on, do a growl. Come on, just one growl.
We might have to workshop that a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm.
But yeah, Kennard probably going to be. He's probably translates to be a guard in the NFL, so he's going to be backing up either Trey Smith or Joe Thuney. But 5th round, that's very good value. You go hit little stuff. I like it. You got to stay competitive. I would much rather them do this where they, get 5 draft picks and then use that money on 3 different guys than go out and be okay, well, we're going to go trade for
AJ Brown.
I don't know. Another big, we're going to go trade for AJ Brown, or we're going to go trade for Deebo Samuel. I remember texting you guys and saying, if the Chiefs trade for Deebo Samuel, someone needs to be fired because they would have given up pretty much exactly what they got for Tyreek Hill just to pay him exactly what they were going to pay Tyreek Hill. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'm so glad they didn't do that. They go out and hit all these holes with volume. And you're looking at a really well-rounded Kansas City team now, especially if these, picks, these are all smart players. Trent McDuffie, he was a guy that was constantly being mocked to the Vikings at 12. I like it a lot. I really do.
I do think
Very, very good offseason.
I think it's funny that Sorensen went to New Orleans with
Yeah.
Matthew. I'm like, Tyrann Matthew's got to be like, you got to be kidding me.
This motherfucker, man.
That's like that video where he's like down in coverage and Tyrann Matthew just sitting there with his hands up, like,
oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, but like I said, the swagger's going to hurt. It's going to be more of like I said, a fundamental chemistry-based team because they're not going to have that flashy offense that they've had in the past and flashy defense that they've had in the past.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I'll dive into my takes now. Speaking of the offense, I think CEH is going to have a bounce-back year this year. They're going to have to use him how they planned on using him because they have to.
Well, and they also just signed Jerick McKinnon this week.
They also didn't they get Rojo as well?
Yeah.
Mr. Fumble.
That's a nice running back room right there.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're attacking a lot of these position groups with volume. Instead of having one Tyreek Hill and then like Mecole Hardman, you've now got Sky Moore and MVS and Juju. Now you got all these running backs. You've got all these linebackers now. You're also attacking the secondary. Linemen as well. Like it worked so well for them with the offensive line. They're applying that same philosophy to all their position groups. And like, obviously we haven't seen a lot of these guys play yet or play together yet.
Well,
that's what I was
going to say, especially when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we can't forget that the Chiefs defense for the first part of the season last year was absolutely fucking dog shit. But they did bounce back in the second part of the year, but I think a lot of that was not because of Rick Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator. I think Steve Spagnuolo, yep, you're right. But I don't know where Rick came from. What the fuck?
Rick Bisaccia, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it was not because of Spagnuolo. I think a lot of it was just. My thing is Matthew. He was the cat. He was.
They just got better.
No, they didn't. It's a lot of turnover for a defense that sucked the first half of the year last year. Like Spagnuolo came out in mandatory minicamp like just the other day and was like, "Look, like." It's probably going to be similar to last year. We've got a couple rookies on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of turnover, so it's going to take a while to get these guys to learn how to play together. So, I mean, if you're looking at the defense last year, I mean, they had played together and they were dog shit for the first part of the year. And you're getting rid of Tyrann Matthew, who is like, he was the guy on the defense. I mean, Justin
Reed's not some, scum of the earth.
Either. No. But I don't think he's Tyrann Matthew, and especially not the captain of the defense type of guy.
As far as I was about to say, definitely not as a leader and just general chemistry with the roster that you've been with for 3 years. But Justin Reed is, as far as on the field production goes, might not be worse than Tyrann Matthew at all. Like Justin Reed is very good. And Tyrann Matthew hasn't been able to really play like a coverage role in a long. Like he's not the best safety in the NFL or really anywhere near it anymore. He hasn't.
Also, it might.
I didn't say
this
that.
Also might allow Chris Jones to just become more of a vocal leader.
Yeah, for sure. And they got
maybe Chris Jones and Tyrann Matthew clashed at times.
Fair.
Glass half full,
Yeah, for sure.
Just guessing.
I absolutely hate the Marquez Valdez-Scantling signing. Like, shit. 3 years. It felt like a lot. It gave me Christian Kirk vibes. Like,
speed gets paid, man. But the thing is, he got paid half.
It's a classic Kansas City thing to do.
That's why the Christian Kirk deal is so bad because MVS got half of that.
But like in comparison to what Juju got, like I feel like the deal should be reversed. Like I feel like Juju should be getting that money.
I guess.
And then
Juju's coming off the injury though.
But MVS has been playing with fucking Aaron Rodgers, dude. Like anybody who's playing with Aaron Rodgers is obviously gonna have some production, man. It just felt like the classic Kansas City thing to do. Like, oh, you're looking for another fucking fast guy. Like, oh, this guy looks fast on the field. Let's forget the part that he played with Aaron Rodgers. He was probably a lot better because of that fact. Now, I will say, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, not too much of a drop off there. But yeah, potato. But I will say Juju Smith-Schuster, and this is the last thing I'll say of the Chiefs. I fucking love it, dude. I'm taking a whole 180 on Juju Smith.
I was about to say, where was this guy when he was playing for the Steelers?
That's because he had Ben Roethlisberger, and not the good kind of Ben Roethlisberger as his quarterback. He now has Patrick motherfucking Mahomes as his quarterback. So, and I think a lot of people have been hating on him. Like he's been feeling that. You know, he's basically stopped with the TikTok stuff for the most part. You know, he's calmed down. But I like it, man. He's got all his incentives in his contract. I think he goes, hot take here, I think Juju goes 1,200 yards and double-digit touchdowns. I think he's the number one, like, clear cut in KC. Who's the number one in KC this year outside of Travis Kelce?
As long as he stays healthy, I think he's the number one. But I think the targets, just because they funneled him to Tyreek for so long, and that was like sometimes not working when it was Tyreek Hill getting the targets falling to them. I think they're going to do, like we've talked about, I think they're going to attack it with volume just like as an offense. Like they brought in 3 running backs. They've got 4 to 5, receivers that you could have on the field consistently. They've also got Travis Kelce in there. Like I think they're going to spread it around a lot more now. But who knows? I do think that Juju is definitely the best of that bunch, especially as a guy that's watched him for a while. But, I mean, Sky Moore 100% could emerge as, like, the number one.
Also,
immediately.
I mentioned it earlier, and I'm not – because I know that he had a really gruesome injury with the spine injury, and he had the foot injury. But, like, Justin Ross was really freaking good for a couple of years there at Clemson, and everybody's just kind of forgotten about him. And like I said – I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to be an all-pro, but like he could emerge on the scene as like a wide receiver 3 or 4, kind of in the way that like Pringle or Robinson showed up for Mahomes. I could see him evolving into that role. And Clemson wide receivers recently have done pretty freaking well in the NFL. Hunter Renfrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Williams. I mean, they've had.
Jamar Chase.
I will say
not a Clemson Tiger.
I didn't mean Jamar Chase. I meant Mike Williams. My bad.
But guarantee you, he will have like, I don't know, like some like crazy like second half in prime time, and he will be at some point this season. He will be the number one added player in fantasy.
Justin Ross
for like 2 days. He will be the number one added player at some point. Will it work out? Who knows? But that will happen because somebody's. Oh my God, he just got 8 targets. What? Oh my God. Let me go get him in the Chiefs offense. They need a number one, and everyone's going to.
I totally agree. Like, they're going to be spreading the ball around to different people every single. You're right. All right, boys.
I do think the defense. I do think the defense will be improved, though. I know that we're shitting on it, and like losing Matthew will be bad, but I think this defense will be because I also think that they killed it in the.
Wait, no, mind.
What?
I'm tripping.
I was going to say they killed it in the draft too on their defense. Like, I think McDuffie's probably going to end up being better than Ward. Faces. I mean, Fenton's not incredible, but I think that Fenton is serviceable. And then you've got Justin Reed. We talked about the signing of him. Thornhill's back again. Nick Bolton with another year. He was very impressive in his first year. Frank Clark's still there. They brought in.
Went and got Jermaine Carter from Carolina.
Hashtag And yeah, Chris Jones is back. Karlaftis on one side. I think that they ended up getting some pretty good pieces in free agency, and I think that collectively they're going to be a better unit than what they were last year.
Fair enough. We got the win total sitting at the over/under for the win total is at 10.5 on all the sports books. And for as far as strength of schedule goes, they are sitting tied for 5th with the 49ers as the hardest schedule in football. I'll go ahead and lead it off. With this division, man, I think they're going under. I think they're going under 10.5. I think those are semi-lofty expectations. It's going to take them a while to get their groove. Like, I mean, this is a brand new thing. Like, Patty's been playing with Tyreek Hill, and they've had a lot of success. And it's like he's still got his boy Kels there, but it's going to take some time to get used to this. And like, I hope they bring back Juju next year because I really do think he's going to be a nice fit there. But I think it's going to take a year. I don't think they're going to win. I mean, especially in this division, So I'm taking the under on 10.5. I think it's going to take one season to get everything straight. But I really do hope they bring back Juju next year. But yeah, I'll go under 10.5. Jaden, what you got, man?
I think I'm going to go over 10.5. But I see him slating it at 11, and I'm doing exactly what I talked about the last time and then probably the time before that, of where I look at the schedule, and it's like, oh, my God, how are they going to win a game ever? Because every team in the NFL is good now. But Kane alluded to it, the newness. It's a lot of newness. And like I said a little bit, Patrick Mahomes is going to see man coverage consistently for the first time in his career. Like that has never happened when Tyreek Hill is healthy and on the field. Granted, I think that he's good enough and he will be able to handle it, but that's going to be something that he has to adjust to. And he's also going to have to adjust to Tyreek Hill not being there. That whole fuck it, Tyreek's down there somewhere. That's not there anymore. You don't have that anymore. If you say fuck it, MVS is down there somewhere, it's going to get picked off.
Or dropped.
You're in trouble. Yeah, or dropped and then picked off.
Double whammy.
Yeah. But I absolutely love what they did this offseason. I've said it 100 times, attacking it with volume. I feel like they're like, you could go down, they're like 3 guys deep at every single position group. Like 3-4 guys deep. I love it. I love what they're doing. And then you surround that all around the one player that you can only have on the field at one time. It's probably the best player in football, Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to go over. Again, this division is super tough, and so there's a lot of newness, so they could start slow.
You're taking the Chiefs to win the division.
We saw how they were able to turn it around.
You're basically taking the Chiefs to win the division, right?
Yeah, I think they'll win this division.
Oh, okay. Tyler?
I have them same as Jaden. I have them over, but just slightly. I have them at 11-6. I think that you touched on it earlier, Kane, where the newness. So a couple things with the newness. Every freaking team in this division has got newness, whether it's on the defensive or the offensive side of the ball. Every team is going to have
but not the
some
same
kinks to
level
work
of
out
success
early in the season. What?
Not the same level of success that KC had, like with their old squad. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys are bringing.
You're bringing in Devontae Adams, you're bringing in Russell Wilson, you're bringing in Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson. Each team has got changes that they're going to have to endure. And yes, I think earlier on this season they are going to struggle, which is why I have them at 11-6. Because if I thought that they'd come in and click right away, I'd have them at 13-4 probably.
And the thing is, the tough part of their schedule is early. Start before the bye week: Arizona, LA, Indy, Tampa, Vegas, Buffalo, San Fran. That is legitimately 7 losable games to start the season. And then you start getting, Jacksonville, Houston, Seattle. That's so it just blows my mind. Like those are the only 3 games that I'm like, yeah, they're definitely going to win. Like Tennessee probably. But coming off the bye week, I think they'll hit that bye week in week 8. It'll be the same situation as last year where we're sitting here like, oh my God, is the Chiefs dynasty over?
They'll be like 4-4 or 3-5 or
struggling. Yeah. Some part of their team's playing.
It's not
terribly,
like you could just say, oh, it's the fucking Chiefs, and they're obviously they're going to come back. Tyreek Hill's not there anymore, boys.
Damn.
Andy Reid is still there and Patrick Mahomes is still there. I still have faith in this team. And I feel like the other thing that we have been remiss at talking about is injuries. And if the Chiefs do endure injuries, they're one of the teams that is outside of the quarterback position and probably tight end position. But on the other positions, they are built that if you do endure an injury, they can replace them with somebody else. Not easily, but it's a lot better situation than a lot of other teams have.
Fair enough. All right, rapid fire. What we got is our off-season grades.
Real quick, 3 games I had for them. I was torn between 3: Rams, Chiefs, Bills, Chiefs, and the Bucks, Chiefs. Probably Bucks, Chiefs, because that is a rematch of the Super Bowl in the same stadium in Tom Brady's last year, possibly passing the torch to Mahomes. There's going to be a lot. Sunday Night Football, it's going to be an awesome game. And the Bills, Chiefs is a rematch of the best game that we saw maybe ever in the playoffs. And then the Rams, Chiefs could have been a Super Bowl matchup last year.
And they get right after the Rams, they get Cincinnati, so they get the Super Bowl matchup in back-to-back weeks.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about how I'm hard pressed to put them at 5, as far as strength of schedule, hardest schedules. They might have top 3 hardest schedules.
My grade, I have them as an A-. I know that Tyreek Hill, losing him is obviously vital, and that's why I give it a knockdown. Obviously, losing Matthew is big too, but like we've talked about, what they've been able to do after losing those guys, you got to give them a round of applause for it, because they have really set themselves up to win now and still continue in this window. Because a lot of times you look at teams that are this window of 3 or 4 years, and then after that, it's like poof, it's gone, and you only have one piece. But they've been able to rebuild and retool at every single position that they needed to.
I'm gonna go ahead and slap a B plus on it. I think it's gonna the newness is gonna take a toll on them this year, but overall, I mean, I really like what they did in the offseason. Tyreek was gonna leave either way. I mean, after Devontae went to the Raiders, I mean, the writing was on the wall that Tyreek Hill was headed elsewhere, and you knew that you couldn't give him that money. So you did the best that you could to replace that. You got Juju at a bargain, which I love. The MVS, who knows? But love what you did in the draft, like we said. Maybe one of the best drafts, if not like top 3 drafts in the NFL. And they mostly just replaced what they lost. So yeah, I like it. I'll go ahead and slap a B plus on it. Jaden?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an A. I mean, like, losing Tyreek Hill hurts. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna sit here and argue with that. We've all said it. But you play the cards you're dealt. He was leaving. And honestly, I wouldn't have paid him either. Like, that, it hurts, but would you rather have one Tyreek Hill or Justin Reed, MVS, Trent McDuffie, Sky Moore, and Leo Chenal? That's what, and Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson.
Well, if you decided to give Tyreek that money, you were just going to have the same problem that the Chiefs have had for the past couple of years, lacking depth.
Yeah, and like once you paid Patrick Mahomes that contract, you knew that you were going to have to make this decision at some point. You weren't going to be able to pay Tyreek and Kelsey and then Chris Jones, and then any other players that you bring in as well. You knew that this was going to happen eventually. If it came down to Kelsey and Hill, I think obviously I think anyone would have taken or would have traded Kelsey away. I mean, I know that I would have, especially at his age, but I know the money's going to be a little bit different.
The chemistry between Patty and Kelsey is better too. I think that's his guy.
Yeah. And luckily, I mean, they didn't have to make that decision. But, I mean, like I said, you played the cards you were dealt, and they did it about as best as I think anybody could have. So, I'm going to give
as long as Juju and Jackson Mahomes aren't hanging out, I think they'll be okay.
Amen, dude.
That's in his contract. That's one of the
I cannot
2 TikToks a week.
Oh, geez, 2 TikToks a week, bro. But you shouldn't be getting shit for incentives for that. That's rough. But he has been off TikTok as far as I've been informed. I mean, I have not heard of any outlandish.
Do you have his post note he's on?
I should probably do that. Because, I mean, I'm waiting.
Listeners, our listeners, though, speaking of post notifications, make sure you got ours on. So you know when we're going live and when we're
got you with the news.
And whenever news breaks, because we're breaking news before a lot of other media outlets. So.
Oh yeah, and we're getting a lot of interactions on them bitches too, thanks to Jaden's little hashtag number. And dude, we've been running it up on the podcast too, man. I don't know how this one's gonna do, but the last 2 have fucking crushed. And thank you guys.
Yeah, and we're
that.
Big worldwide, right?
Yeah, dude. Our number 1 location with the most downloads on the audio version of the podcast is what was it? Sydney, Australia, right?
Yeah, I think it was somewhere in Australia, and then somewhere in Brazil had a lot.
Makes a lot. Yeah, it was Sao Paulo, Brazil. Those were our top 2 locations, and with over 250 downloads. Dude, fuck yeah! Thanks, Sydney. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
We're gonna get a translator. We're gonna have a 4th little box up here for someone to translate everything. For every country, every language.
Let's get the Aussie,
get the Portuguese.
Let's get the flags up there.
Yeah, get the Portuguese going for the Brazilians.
Yes, we need to get the flags. Every time we get a download, we put a new flag up.
We appreciate you, Sydney, Australia, though. I mean, it makes sense a little bit, I guess. I can't imagine they know where to get their football knowledge, and obviously there's not football going on over there.
Yeah, they can't slap on.
Right, exactly. So they got to get it from somewhere. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. All right, let's move on to our next team on the slate, and that is the Chargers. So Mitch is not here for this, which kind of feels weird, but so let's go ahead and shit on the Chargers. Fuck, why not? But on the addition side, they bring in guard Zion Johnson in the draft out of Boston College. I'm a fan of that. I know you boys were pretty much a fan of that too. We were high on him going into the draft. Defensive tackle Sebastian Joseph also headed there. They traded for Mr. Khalil Mack to sit opposite of Joey Bosa, which is going to be absolutely elite. They bring in J.C. Jackson on a 5-year, 85, 82, something like that. But yeah, they bring him in from New England, one of the best corners on the market, and one of the best young corners on the market, and also Pieter. But yeah, J.C. Jackson balling out, has led the league in interceptions before, so love to see that. And then you also bring in cornerback Bryce Callahan. On the departure side, tight end Jared Cook, who can't believe that guy is still playing. He is headed out of town. Where did he end up getting picked up by somebody, or is he just gone into oblivion now?
I'm not sure, actually.
Check on that while I read the departures. But they say goodbye to Brian Bulaga, the tackle, former Green Bay Packer. Defensive tackle Linval Joseph, the vet.
He's currently in the oblivion.
Well, Jared Cook, we hope you find a spot somewhere. But Linval Joseph, he's headed out of town. Linebacker, I don't know the one. I know the last name is Nwosu. Uchenna. Okay. Right, sound it out, I guess. But linebacker Uchenna Nwosu is headed out of town as well. And then cornerback Chris Harris, he's also on the departure side. So, boys, what are we thinking? What are the vibes?
Go ahead, Jaden. Go for it.
I think we both took a deep inhale and then we pointed at the camera. So my favorite move is not a sexy one at all, and I love this move for I don't know why. Jamari Salyer in the 6th round, dude.
Mr. Draft guy over here.
I don't care. Everything else they did, that's my favorite move.
You're just trying to sound smart.
Jamari Salyer. I was like,
beach.
Once we got George Pickens, I was like, okay, I'm happy. Give me Jamari Salyer. He falls always 6th round. I know he had some injury problems, but you know they have some decisions to make on this offensive line because they've got a lot of help on the interior, but they don't seem to want to move any of that help to the outside at right tackle, which is the biggest hole in their roster after everything's been done. They've got Zion Johnson. Corey Linsley staying at center. That's pretty obvious. They get Matt Filer. Jamari Salyer can start. If he's healthy, he could start at like a guard. If, you know, or at least give him a shot. Matt Filer's got tackle experience. Zion Johnson has tackle experience. Salyer has tackle experience. You can do anything with those 3 guys if you wanted to. I guess, you know, the Khalil Mack trade, whatever, it's kind of cool. It's no Jamari Salyer drafting, but I like that one as well. I don't know why, but I know that he's a Turk.
I agree. I know where you're going.
I agree as well.
I don't know. I don't see it with Jason Jackson like to be like, oh, he's a top 5 corner.
Too big of a contract.
And yeah,
100%.
Yeah, like I don't.
Not a shutdown guy.
See it.
He hasn't been a shutdown guy. Like he just the reason that people are throwing the reason he has so many interceptions is because people are throwing the ball his way because the receivers are open, and then he's just making his way to get the interception. You know, but he's not locking these guys down. It's not like Revis Island out there. You know, but I totally agree with that. Good shit, Jaden.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think the biggest question going into this season, and some people aren't going to like this, but is it going to be a sophomore slump or is he going to ascend into a great tier? And that's Justin Herbert, because he
is a junior. So those days are over.
I mean, yes, but okay. Do you see him getting into that tier with Mahomes and Allen, or do you see him staying in the tier just behind them?
I think he puts himself into that conversation.
I mean,
Mahomes
because that's what this year is going to decide. Burrow, and you can honestly, I mean, you know, we're always going to have this Burrow Herbert debate, but like Burrow did go to the Super Bowl.
I don't think Burrow is
the way you think
in the same.
The way you
tier
think
as
about
Herbert. If you want to take Burrow over Herbert, that's fine. I don't think he's a tier.
Okay, I agree with that.
I think the way you got to think about this is like who's in line for the next big quarterback contract. It's Justin Herbert, it's Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow. Who am I missing?
Well, it's in order. It's Lamar, Kyler, then Burrow and Herbert. Yeah. And then like there's dear God. And then it's Kenny Pickett time. Soon enough.
One other question that I did have.
Hasn't played a snap yet.
One other question. One thing that they did bring back that we didn't talk about, Mike Williams, bringing him back obviously is key. Rapid fire with him real quick. Who would you have? Mike Williams or Devontae Smith?
Mike Williams, it's like I didn't think he was a boomer bust guy, and that was one of my bad takes from the season that I remember. Like, I didn't think that he was that boomer bust guy, but he do be a boomer bust guy though. So, all right, yeah.
Him or Devontae Smith?
I'm taking Mike
Devontae
Williams.
Smith.
Him or Tyler Lockett?
Lockett.
Williams.
Him or Brandon Cooks?
Williams.
Cooks.
Wow.
Dude, me and Kane can't get in sync here.
Him or Hunter Renfrow?
Hunter Renfrow.
Mike Williams. Damn it, dude.
Him
what?
or Allen
Crazy.
Robinson?
Allen Robinson. Okay.
Allen Robinson.
Let's go.
All right, we'll end with that one.
Fuck yeah.
But I think do you
Finally.
think him or Keenan Allen has the better season?
Keenan's a dog.
Keenan.
I agree with that as well. But is that the best 1-2 combo of wide receivers in football?
So, I mean, dude, come on now. There's so many. You got Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson now.
I don't know.
You got Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow now.
I don't know.
Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill.
That's
now.
the question.
Like, I mean, there's so many good duos. I could go on and on.
Evans and Godwin. I just like that duo more than pretty much anybody else in the league. I mean, like Tyreek Hill and Waddle, I think for sure, because you know how much I love Jalen Waddle.
AJ and Devonta Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got him. That's one thing that I've been seeing recently. Like, why are the Eagles suddenly in like the top 5? Like, I saw them on a top 5 wide receiver course list the other day. Wasn't their biggest issue like 2 months ago wide receiver? They get one guy and now they're in the top 5. What?
You gotta think about it. They got.
No,
I guess that's.
Wes Watkins is their
I was gonna
third.
say, but he's a dog, man.
Hell no.
He's a dog. Quez Watkins had some
No.
flashes this year or last year.
Quez Watkins
now I'm
is
falling
Zay
in.
Jones 2.0.
All right then. Well, I guess he's a Hall of fucking Famer.
The last one I'll leave. The last
Future
comparison. Last comparison: Mike Williams or Adam Thielen.
Mike Williams.
I think I might go Williams too now. I think Thielen's a little past his prime.
Can't get behind the wide receiver. Can't do it.
That's
All right.
that's
All right. And all right. One last question I have. This is the final question that I'll have about them. Is Staley going to continue his maniac ways and going for it on like 4th and 5 or more?
That's the easiest
routine.
That's the easiest way to get fired. Like that.
No, that's why he got hired.
Or is that or is he an innovator and that's the new way of the NFL?
I don't think Staley's
He
all
grew
that,
up on
dude.
Madden, man.
I don't think Staley's all that. You got Justin Herbert as your quarterback. You got Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield. You got yourself in a pretty fucking good situation that he got plopped in there. And
yeah, but he also had the number one.
We were talking
defense
about
with the Rams.
We were talking about this team this time last year possibly being a Super Bowl team after Justin Herbert's awesome season 2 years ago. So Staley didn't do that. I mean, they lost to the fucking Raiders and didn't make the playoffs. Like,
well, in fairness, I think that was
they lost to the Texans.
Come in and you know, like.
But the Raiders.
Why were
super king? Well, yeah, you're right.
Why were the Chargers like I think we were all a bit premature, myself included, on putting the Chargers in that conversation because like I know that there were a lot more question marks with Cincinnati, and obviously now that we've seen it, but like how much better was the LA team outside of like their like 4 or 5 like top level players than Cincinnati was? And we were talking about Cincinnati like probably finishing last in the division. I think we just kind of jumped the gun with the Chargers a little bit. Now, I think where they're at now, like we're seeing them be like, okay, this should be a playoff team this year.
That's easy to say in hindsight because you look at Joe Burrow after the ACL, and then you now see Jamar Chase after his rookie year, and T. Higgins with the year he had. I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but on paper last year, dude, like Herbert coming off the season he had, I mean, it's easy to say now, like, oh yeah, they probably do look a little like the Bengals, but last year this was a Super Bowl team, like a Super Bowl contending team with how Herbert was playing.
Well, also, that was fueled by a lot of the conversation that we had was with a Chargers fan that had a franchise quarterback and is like, oh, well, we're going to the Super Bowl. If I had Justin Herbert, I would have said we're going to the Super Bowl.
Fair enough.
I think that was fueled a little bit, and I think, yeah, like I said, I think we jumped the gun again, myself included, on the Chargers. Where they're at now, like if you start talking about them a Super Bowl team now, and if they don't make the playoffs next year, let's have that conversation because they have a legit Super Bowl caliber roster.
They
now.
should have made the playoffs last year. There's no excuse for that. I'm sorry.
They should have, and like, whether you want to call it Staley's fault or whoever's fault.
Whose fault is it?
What happened that last week? They should have been in. Like that was a crazy ass circumstance that we may never ever see again. With
six best odds to win the Super Bowl, by the way.
The team on the outside has a tie, so if the two teams that happen to be playing each other from the same division with the same record could tie, then they would both go in. We'll never see that scenario again. So, and then like the fact the game goes over, that was, oh my God, that's just bringing me back. Like I saw that game on the NFL Network replay the other day, and it was just like,
as a Steelers fan, I'm sure.
Oh my God, dude! Like I was like running around the living room, and it was like the biggest range of emotions ever because it was like it felt like Justin Herbert was throwing the ball like 60 yards every single play, and he would like incomplete first down, incomplete second down, incomplete third down, 11-yard pass on fourth down. Let's keep the drive going, and it just felt like
he had
that
like three or four
3 hours.
It was like 3 or 4 fourth down conversions on that game tying drive.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that. God. Wild. Obviously.
And Mitchell wanted to kill me. Oh my God, dude, he was not happy.
One last thing that I'll say, and me and Jaden were talking about it a little bit before the podcast, but I heard something on the Pat McAfee show the other day. They brought somebody on who used to work in the Green Bay's front office. He was the GM there when Brett was there, and he drafted Aaron and everything like that. But like with this guaranteed money now, like salary cap is fake. Like I've bought into that, but with the contract that Deshaun Watson got, you have to have that money on hand. You have to show the play, like you have to put that money into escrow. Like you have to have that, like whatever it is, $300 million, whatever it is. Like you have to have that money, like proof that you have it. And these small market teams, like I'm sorry, like they aren't that much of a small market team, but their owners are small market still. The Chargers teams,
they're gonna do whatever they need to keep him.
I mean, give him a Deshaun Watson, they might not be able to. Like they won't.
He was a Chargers fan growing up. Justin Herbert does not seem like the guy to gripe about money. I think
we're done with the era of people taking hometown discounts, dude. Like people aren't. This is a big money league now. This offseason proved that more than anything.
I know.
I agree with what Jaden said though.
He's not going to get a $250 million deal, but
I agree with what Jaden said though. He's not like those type of guys that are taking those type of deals. I mean, I don't give a fuck. I'll say it. They're divas. A lot of these guys that are taking these huge contracts are divas.
Plus, Herbert's a pretty low-key guy. Like, he's not...
He doesn't show emotion,
Oh, we call him Lamar. Like, Lamar's a pretty low-key guy, but he wants his fucking money. What are we talking about?
But he's not going to take... He wasn't a diehard Ravens fan growing up.
Yeah. Like I said, the era of people taking hometown discounts is... That's... I mean... Yeah, we can run this clip back and, like... but I don't think... Herbert's gonna get what's in line.
Herbert's gonna get $250 million plus, and that number might be $300 million by the time that it's time for him because Lamar still needs to get paid, Kyler still needs to get paid. Burrow and the Bengals might beat them to the punch.
But with this guaranteed money, like they don't have it existing. It doesn't exist. Like they don't have it on hand. Like only the owners that have that kind of cash on hand can hand out the type of contract that Deshaun Watson got, all guaranteed. And who knows?
They will restructure. They will restructure deals. They'll cut guys. They'll do whatever they have to do to keep.
They'll restructure like hell.
Yeah, they're. I don't see him leaving.
I do think, and I can't remember if we talked about it a lot when the Watson deal happened. The next time, I don't know if it'll be Lamar, but we will see another fully guaranteed contract.
Yeah,
like
100%.
$200 million plus to the next quarterback in line. That's going to be the new thing.
Yeah.
Like
remember when Kirk Cousins got $89 million guaranteed and everybody was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Now look at it.
Well, like, how can a guy like Lamar Jackson, a guy like Justin Herbert, a guy like Joe Burrow, a guy like Kyler Murray, like obviously you mentioned how Lamar and Kyler are in line for that contract beforehand, but like the guy has been out of football for over a year, like borderline 2 years, and you haven't seen him play. Who knows if he's still the same quarterback? He's never played a game in a Browns uniform, and he gets the highest guaranteed money by a large margin. Like, Lamar's like any offer you're putting on the table that's like not close to that, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, look, I'm better. Like, I'm 10 times better than this guy. Like, I've proven
Yeah,
it.
but you know what they can. Yeah, but you know what they can say? They can say we're a competent organization.
Yeah, fair enough. But like,
I mean,
somebody's gonna.
the
give
Browns
him money.
clearly did not do their research when they went ahead and made this deal.
Do we want to? Do we want to die? What do we think the suspension on Watson's going to be now? I'm just curious.
I think a year. I don't think.
So
it'll
the
take
thing
Be a year
is,
too.
like, what I think is going to
If it's
happen,
not a year,
I
there's
feel like
a
it's going to be
fucking
like something
riot.
weird. Like, but do you know the eyebrows that Roger Goodell is going to get if he suspends Calvin Ridley for a year for putting down a $1,500 bet on FanDuel, and then he gives Watson equal or anything less than that for 26 sexual assault
There's
charges?
a lot of talk
It's the
about
same.
giving him less.
We
It's the
thought
same. It's the same with Ray Rice when he suspended Ray
I was
Rice
just
for
about
like
to say,
2 games
when
and then
the
suspended
media
Josh
circus
Gordon
around
for
that was
4.
terrible. And I mean, it took years for him to rebuild his image after he did that. Like, he was getting like interviewed on like CBS News like all the time, trying to figure out how he was going to fix that shit. And then like Greg Hardy happened, couple other. I mean, there was like,
And
a
that's
big
what
wave
happens.
of it.
That's what happens though when you set a precedent, because now the precedent's been
Elliott?
set at, well, this guy gets suspended
And
for a
yeah,
year for gambling
I
$1,500.
totally understand you had to make an example, and it sucks that it had to be like a superstar. Like, why couldn't it have been somebody who, was barely going to play anyway? Now
Right.
we get to not see one of the stars of our league for an entire season. But now that it was a big name like that, like Atlanta fans got to be sitting there, especially since they missed out on Watson.
And you can't go back on it.
You're going to give him 8 games, and Calvin really just got a year for placing a bet when he couldn't even play. And you're going to give him 8 games or 10 games, or hell, you're going to give him a season. That's it.
There's a lot of talk
Like-
about like him getting less than a year too. And how much does that, like, obviously the contract comes into play here, I guess. Like, if not, he would have been suspended, I feel like 2 months ago. Like, I feel like the contract plays a huge deal.
That poses another
Because it's
problem.
such an ugly look
like-
for the NFL right now. They don't know what to do.
It is.
Yeah. And like, how do you look, and obviously Cleveland deserves every bit of it because they made this move and gave him all that money. But if you're Roger Goodell, how do you call the GM of the Browns and be like, oh yeah, that guy that you're about to give $230 million, we're suspending him for 3 years or some crazy shit like that. Like, oh yeah, that's $100 million that you can go throw on the field right now because you're not going to be able to use it. Like, how do you make that call?
Crazy shit going on.
So
Crazy shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a can of worms right there if there ever was one.
Yeah, and you can look at that from 100 different ways.
Sports side note real quick. Dodgers pitcher Tyler Anderson has a no-hitter through 8 innings.
Oh, dude, what's wrong with you? You never mentioned that a pitcher has a no-hitter going?
Well, he's facing the Angels, so I can absolutely mention it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The Angels are absolute trash right now. It's so annoying, but that's another conversation for another day.
Yeah, for sure. Let's dive back.
What do
to
you
the
guys
Chargers.
have?
Let's do that.
What do you guys have
Let's
on
go
their
back to LA here.
their record?
Yeah, so let me check the over/under real quick. I got it right here. It is 10 exactly, even 10 even. So over/under 10.
I think they sit at 10. I think listen, the fact of the matter is, like, we've talked about it. I'm sure everybody's talked about it. Staley will lose you games. Staley's going to win you games. That's just how it is. To be able to have the balls to go out and
That's
do
not
that.
what you want to hear about your head coach.
Well, technically you could say that about every head coach. Every head coach is going to win you games, and every head coach is going to lose you games.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer.
When you have
You can't say that about every head coach.
Justin Herbert, you can do that because, like, it'll work. Like, if let's say, like, they were the Rams from like 3 years ago and they were like constantly going for it with Jared Goff at quarterback, more times than not it would fail. And if Sean McVay didn't have, like, whatever reputation, he probably would have been fired when they were doing that. But when you have a guy like Herbert that, you feel like at any given play could give you like a 60-yard touchdown, you do that. and you take that risk. And now that you've got the defense to back that up, like you feel good about your defense getting a stop now. Especially you've shored up the run defense a little bit. You've added superstars in Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. Now I feel like hell, it might be even worse. They might be going for fourth downs on their own 20.
Jeez. Fair enough.
Middle of the second quarter.
I've got them over. I have them at 13-4. I think this team wins the division. I think they probably are the number 1 seed in the AFC.
I thought you said the Chiefs got the division.
I think what they've
Start
done.
making that quote graphic.
I mean, they beat Kansas City in Kansas City last year. We talked about they should have beaten Vegas in Vegas.
I'm just pointing out what you said.
They lost to Kansas City in overtime last year. They beat Vegas last year. I think there's a couple of games here and there that if they win, they're comfortably in the playoffs at either 11 or 12 wins. Making these offseason signings, why not bump them up another win or two off that projected win total? Because if you look at their games, the projected win, like the Texans, they should have beat the Texans. They should have beat the Raiders. That's 2 wins right there that they should have had. And if you give them those 2 wins, I think they end up with 11 wins last year. So I think this team made the moves that they needed to make. I think the offensive line's great. The playmakers are there. Your quarterback's there. What's holding this team back from not only winning the division? We've seen these quarterbacks make their strides. Josh Allen, it was Mahomes, then it was Allen, then it was Burrow last year. Why can't Herbert be the one to make his stride this year? So I have him at 13-4. Best game of the year, New Year's Day, battle for LA.
Ooh.
It's going to be a great game.
I like that. Would you say they were 6th best Super Bowl odds, 6th best odds to win the Super Bowl? The Chargers were?
Yes, I think they're like 15-1, 16-1 odds.
Yeah, this is a Super.
Yep, 15-1.
This is a Super Bowl ready team. I mean, let me check their strength of schedule real quick.
I mean, it's going to be high because of the division that they play in. And
actually, they're sitting at 10.
Like I said,
so not too bad.
I think they end up sweeping the AFC South. I think that's 4 wins. I think that they just outmatch those teams in pretty much all facets of football. So I think that's 4 wins right there. I think they, at worst, split with Denver and Vegas, and probably Kansas City too. At worst, I think they could go 5-1 in the division. 4-2, I think, would be where they're going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 5-1. And I think there isn't a game on their schedule that you're like, they're not going to win that game. They can win every single game on their schedule. Now, obviously, they could lose every game, but I think that they've really set them. Yeah, exactly. I think that they've set themselves up for success, and I think that this is one of the perennial teams in football.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what they proved this offseason, trading for Khalil Mack, re-signing Mike Williams. You already got Keenan, but this is a win-now team. Like, Keenan's, like, he's on the backside of his career. Like, even Mike Williams. Like, Mike Williams is not, like, super young. Like, it's crazy because, like, he was buried on – it felt in LA.
First couple games.
Yeah, he was buried for a while, You didn't really – and everybody expected him to be great, but it took him a while.
Injured.
Yeah, exactly. But Keenan's on the backside of his career. Like, Austin Eckler's on the backside of his career. Like, Khalil Mack is on the backside of his career. Like, this is a win-now team. And if you don't win – like, this year, Staley's out. Like, he's done, fired. But as far as my winning total, I will go over 10. But if that doesn't happen, Staley's out the door halfway through the season. If they're not on pace, then he's out the door early.
I don't think they'll fire him mid-season.
Yeah, I don't think they will either.
I think that if they struggle and, like, let's say they miss the playoffs again, or
he's definitely fired.
Or like
if they miss the
first
playoffs.
round exit, he's probably out.
Okay.
Which LA team has more wins? Rams or Chargers?
Chargers.
Damn. I don't even know. That's toughie. I love the Chargers.
Well, considering the divisions, maybe the Rams.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, we are probably not going to get to the Rams for a little bit, but
yeah.
I don't know what their schedule looks like, but
I don't know.
I'll go Chargers for now.
I'll go Chargers. I'm liking the Chargers.
I think Chargers too. Always a fan of the Super Bowl hangover.
Rapid fire overall off-season grades. I'll go ahead first. I'll give it a B. Tyler? Just because of the J.C. Jackson.
I gave it a. Yeah, I gave it a B plus because of that, because I thought it was an overpay. And like Jaden said, like Khalil Mack bringing him in is great, but it's like, how much are you going to get out of Khalil Mack at this point in his career? I still think he's one of the really good edge rushers. I don't think he's in that top 5 category of edge rushers anymore. But I still think him and Bosa are, we talked about Crosby and Chandler Jones. I think those two are right up there, if not better than them. So, yeah, I mean, as Khalil Mack is your second edge rusher, yeah, sign me up.
Jaden?
Yeah, I'm right there at a B plus as well. They were able to bring in some nice vets. I think Bryce Callahan was like one of, if not the best slot corner in the NFL just like 2 seasons ago. And now he's coming in here for virtually nothing. Kyle Van Noy also coming in here, another strong vet. I like it. I like a lot of what they did. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. I really wish that they address the third wide receiver. If they can find a way to get OBJ in the building, keep him in LA where he was very happy with being. You have time with this roster, with that receiving core, you have time to wait for him if he needs to recover from that ACL. But he would be a huge bump for them come playoff time. I would like to see that happen. And especially as these teams start to now we're getting into training camp and stuff, and now teams are figuring out, okay, maybe we don't need to look into OBJ, dwindling down his options. If he wants to stay in LA, the only other team is the Chargers, and I think they really need that because I don't trust Jalen Guyton to be their 3.
Didn't they just draft Palmer?
But overall,
Palmer? Didn't they just draft Palmer not too long ago? Isn't that a new?
Yeah, I think that was.
Obviously
not this.
Oh.
Yeah,
dude, of
really?
course.
Otani just got a triple.
Of course, dude.
Fuck him.
You didn't. Of course, I knew that was gonna fucking happen. Yeah, of course. Baseball is.
Did you guys see the Cardinals last night?
Didn't they lost it in
my
the
God.
ninth, right?
The dude, he lost it on the final. He needed one more strike, and the guy hit a ground rule double.
What
I'd
a
be
fucking dick!
sick.
Oh my God! And
The
not to
pirate,
mention,
right?
it's a ground rule double. That's terrible. That hurts. All right. Let's move on to our final team that we got, and that is the Let's Ride Denver Broncos. Anybody see Russell Wilson's promo video?
I've watched that video a disturbing amount of times.
Have you seen it, Tyler?
I hate it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yes, I've seen it.
Broncos country.
Broncos country.
I've never been a big Russell Wilson guy.
No shit. I think we're all not fans of Russell Wilson. I mean, we've been talking mad shit on Russell Wilson for a minute. I mean, Mr. Tryhard. I mean,
he's a poor man Steph Curry.
I like that. Oh, poor man's you think? Really?
Yep.
Steph Curry, really? I never see. I don't think I've got that. I don't get that vibe from Steph.
I don't really get that vibe from Steph either.
Oh, I do. They're both tryhards.
No, I mean, I know,
go Celtics, by the way.
Steph did just drop 47 in a playoff game the other day. I mean, shit. Russell Wilson hasn't done anything like that in a minute. And Steph...
Put your mouth guard in and play.
Steph's doing the big dick dance on everybody because he can, dude. He just dropped fucking 47, bro. What are we talking about? But anyway, this is not... Contrary to popular belief...
This is not Blitz
this is not Blitz and Buckets. This is the Blitz. So, all right. Let's have it to the Denver Broncos. Let's ride Broncos country. On the addition side, they bring in Nate Hackett, head coach now in Denver. They bring him over from Green Bay. He led Aaron Rodgers to another MVP campaign, so gotta love that. And you gotta love what he did with the running backs, and with them bringing back Melvin Gordon and having Javonte Williams. I mean, I didn't think about that until just now. I mean, he did pretty well with the running back duo last year in Green Bay, so I like what's coming for Denver this year with Nate Hackett there now. But also on the addition side, obviously, Mr. Quarterback, Russell Wilson. Also on the addition side, they bring in defensive end Randy Gregory on a 4-year $75, I believe. But they bring him over from Dallas, and that contract was it because it seemed like he was going back to Dallas, but then I think Dallas had a lot of contingency stuff in their contract,
weed clause.
Yeah, if you get suspended.
Yeah, and obviously that's why he went to Denver. It makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
He's right at home.
Colorado, man.
Also on the
That's Smoky Mountain air.
Also on the addition side, they bring in defensive tackle DJ Jones, and they also bring in outside linebacker Nick Benito. On the departure side, they say goodbye to Vic Fangio, and I don't think anybody's going to miss that guy. Where is Vic Fangio now? He's
a DC somewhere.
Yeah, he got picked up somewhere. And he's got respect as a DC. I just, as far as...
He literally, like, the defense that he, like, introduced is, like, the meta defense now. Like, that's what people do. Like, the Fangio defense is, like, kind of what the Seattle defense was years ago.
He's taking the season off. He received a couple of offers for DC and declined them.
Right. But yeah, there's a lot of respect for him as a defensive coordinator across the league, but obviously didn't hack it as a head coach. But he'll find his way into a defensive coordinator job next season. Also on the departure side, quarterback Drew Lock no longer in Denver. He's headed to Seattle.
Damn it.
Horse Cocklock.
Horse Cocklock. Dude, I'm a big fan.
That was his nickname at Mizzou, man.
Dude, fuck yeah. I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
Just got the Bleacher notification.
Huh?
Fuck Otani, man.
But also on the departure side, they say goodbye to Noah Fant, and might as well put Shelby Harris into that group too, because all three of those guys ended up going to Seattle in the Russell Wilson trade. Also on the departure side, to round it out, you've got cornerback Bryce Callahan, and if you want to throw Kendall Fuller in there, I know Jaden hates Kendall Fuller now. He absolutely hates him as a human being and as a football player. He is no longer in Denver either. So, what are we thinking, boys? I'll toss it to Jaden first, so we're not having any camera pointing situation.
Oh, okay. Favorite move? I mean, the obvious choice is to say Russell Wilson, but, like, I don't know, man. It's tough. Like, I know that I had him over Derek Carr earlier, but I'm scared. I'm scared for, like, Denver fans that have like watched Drew Lock. I know that, like, they had Peyton Manning recently, so it's not like they're Chicago in a quarterback drought. But to get this excited about Russell Wilson, I'm afraid for what that expectation is going to end up being.
Yes.
I can't see that. I can't see him bringing them to, like, a Super Bowl, which I feel like is, like, the expectation in Denver right now, because for so long Denver had been built up as, like, this is the premium quarterback spot. Like, if a quarterback becomes available, their number one option should be Denver. And just throughout with, like, injuries and people leaving, they weren't as great of a destination anymore as what people thought. Like, Von Miller left. This receiving core didn't really develop that well. You know, that probably could be due to Drew Lock, but I don't know. Man.
I agree.
I like Randy Gregory, though. I think
16-1 odds.
61 odds.
They're right there. They're right there with the Chargers, as, like, Chargers are 15-1 and the Broncos are 16-1 odds.
I'm not with that, dude. I totally agree with you, Jaden. Like, don't get too hype over Russell Wilson. I mean, we saw what he looked like at the end of last year, and also, like, and they'll give him they haven't signed him to a new contract. I assume that they'll give him a new contract, but
they're going to with all the picks.
For sure. But I don't feel like Russell Wilson, like, as he ages, is going to translate as well as a Matthew Stafford. I mean, it's Detroit, you know, Stafford, you know.
Love that guy.
But yeah, like, I don't think he's gonna age as well as, like, a Matt Stafford or an Aaron Rodgers, because, like, I mean, Russell Wilson's play style, it's obvious to everyone. I mean, he's a scrambler, you know. He's not just a sit in the pocket guy and sling it, you know. Like, that's Matt Stafford and that's Aaron Rodgers. So I don't think as he ages, that play style is going to translate too well. And he's a short guy, so it's not like he can be super effective inside the pocket. Obviously, Russell Wilson has had a fucking fantastic career, but this is not the Russell Wilson of old. So,
also coming off of, like, the worst 6 games, like, the last 6 games were probably the worst 6 games of his career that we just watched.
Yeah.
So
does he have a better receiving core now?
No, he doesn't.
I don't.
And that's the same thing that I said with Philly. Why is Denver getting talked about as, like, Like, I watched a fucking Instagram reel the other
You guys
day
really
that was
hate
like,
Cortland Sutton.
oh yeah,
You
I just
guys hate him.
he okay. He didn't
I mean,
produce
Cortland
last
Sutton's a
year.
good
He tore his
receiver,
ACL
but
the year before. Like, I'm sitting there listening to people say that they're better than Tampa Bay. No, absolutely not. And like, not that losing Noah Fant really matters, but their tight end sucks too. Like
yeah,
Russell Wilson doesn't necessarily use tight ends, but it would be nice to have a good one. They don't have that either.
he's never had a
Yeah,
good
he's
tight end in his
never-
career.
They got Jimmy Graham, and
I
he didn't
mean,
do
hell,
fucking jack shit.
I was
with
about to
him.
say he turned Jimmy Graham into, a replacement level guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
you just throw it up to Graham and say, "Hey, go catch it." I mean,
yeah,
That was in the prime. I mean, not it. That was basically in the prime of Jimmy
that
Graham's
was like
career.
that was like a year or two off of like him being arguably the best tight end in the league next to Gronk.
Right, exactly.
But like,
I think they
okay,
might
this
have.
wide
I
receiver
think
room.
I will say this. I think that they might have the best third wide receiver in football, though.
Who's that? Tim Patrick.
And
Tim Patrick.
yeah,
I can't think of any
Mike,
off
for
the
a
top of my head.
Tyler Boyd, you could definitely have a conversation about.
I mean, Tim Patrick, he's dropped like one
Van
ball in his
Jefferson,
career.
maybe.
Van Jefferson, yeah, that's a good one too. I mean, they made some moves, but like I'm not sold on anything. The one thing I will say with the Broncos that we haven't mentioned, and this might be my best addition, and it's not really anything that they did. It's just getting a guy that I think is going to finish top 5 in sacks back in Bradley Chubb. Because getting him back, I think, is going to be absolutely incredible. You pair him with Randy Gregory, and we're once again talking about a dynamic duo on the outside in this division. Surprise. But I think that getting him back is just going to pay huge dividends for this team.
And you've got a guy that you took in the second, or I think it was the second round. The last pick of the second round.
Benito?
Nick Benito. Yeah, I like him a lot.
He
kind
was
of
a dog
gadget,
at Oklahoma.
like a gadget edge rusher that you can use, and so you got to like create certain packages because he's so bad in run defense that like you literally cannot have him on the field in first and second down, but you can just let him fly at the quarterback.
He's
on
kind of
third
like
down
Nakobe
because
Dean.
he's so fast. Yeah, he really is, and he's like obviously Nakobe Dean's more of like he's more of a weak side guy, but when you think of him, you think of like a middle linebacker versus Benito, who's actually like an edge rusher. But he's fast as hell. He's going to fly
He
off the
doesn't
line,
have
but
the
he
physical
cannot
presence.
defend the run worth a shit.
All right. So, what we feeling for? Let me check the over/under win totals, but go ahead and throw your overall grades out, boys. Jaden, start with you.
I'm gonna have to give it a B+ just because you end the Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, whoever else era, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler era in Denver. Like that, it's finally over. You don't have to deal with going from replacement level to replacement level to replacement level over and over again. You do have your guy. And Randy Gregory's cool too. Like that kind of surprised me because like whenever a team makes a big move like that, like trading for Russell Wilson, you feel like, okay, they're done. Like like whether it be like money or assets, you feel like they've got nothing left. They go out and give $70 million to Randy Gregory. I feel like that's a slight overpay. So you know what? I'm gonna give it a B. I'm dropping it down to a B.
Who knows if Brandon Gregory
Yeah,
plays out
I
that
have it. I
contract,
have it
too.
as a B as well. I mean, Benito was a good pick. I know that they lost obviously their first round pick, so that obviously hurts in the draft. I felt like they made some good moves. I felt like the trade for Russell Wilson was about what I'd expect that you would have had to give up to get Russell Wilson. But I just, yeah, I think the value on both sides was pretty even. I'm not a firm believer in Russell Wilson being able to lead this team to the Super Bowl, and that's what their expectations are with bringing him in, is to bring him to a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, maybe they'll develop into a really good wide receiver tandem. It remains to be seen. Big Albert O at tight end. I mean, what are we going to get out of him? Who knows? But I'm going to go ahead and say this. We're going to play another game of Would You Rather with Javonte Williams.
Okay, let's do
And
it.
I'm going to go ahead and start with DeAndre Swift or Javonte Williams.
We need to do this more often, by the way, for the record. This
is fun.
I think this is fun.
I saw it on TikTok, and I was like, you know what? I'm bringing this in.
All right, so what was your first one? DeAndre Swift?
Or Javonte.
Give me Javonte.
Yeah, give me Javonte.
All right, Alvin Kamara or Javonte Williams?
Kamara.
All right, Christian McCaffrey or Javonte Williams?
Javonte Williams.
Okay.
Are we
No.
taking injury concerns into it?
I mean, you take everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Javonte Williams only played one season, and he had a half a workload.
Give me the guy who can run really well between the tackles without tearing every bone or breaking every bone in the body. Give me that guy.
Or the most efficient fantasy
Javonte
player ever.
or Najee Harris?
Najee. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Don't show me numbers. Don't show me highlights. Don't show me anything. I don't want to see it.
Okay.
I don't care.
I'm going to go Javonte
Najee.
Williams. I won't show you
I don't
anything, though.
All right, and last one for Kane, Antonio Gibson or Javonte Williams. All right, so we've got him in like the top 10 running backs, right in
Which
that.
is absolutely wild because, like, he's, especially since they re-signed Melvin Gordon,
I know.
nobody cares for fantasy. Like, I had him for Dynasty, was so excited about it, got him, like, relatively late.
I don't know
Doesn't
why they
matter.
keep clinging on to Melvin Gordon. It's like it's a leech. Like, I don't understand why they continue. Not only did, as a Javonte Williams owner last year, not only did it piss me off because I was like, you just kept waiting. It's like, all right, cool. We're at week 5. Like, when's Javonte going to take this over? He's clearly the best running back. Not only that, they bring him back. They bring Melvin Gordon back. And it's just
I thought there was no way that they'd bring him back. I was like, okay, well, now, you get to have a guy come in, show him the ropes, take a little bit off his workload, and then his contract expires. Beautiful, and he's gone.
Yeah.
And they bring him
But
back.
like I said,
Hopefully, it's a different role this year
yeah,
because
it
Melvin
will
Gordon
be.
is getting up there.
Yeah. And
But-
Javonte, like, he is a receiving back. Like, not a receiving back. Like, that's his defining feature, but he can catch the ball pretty damn good, I will say, like, I think the reason that they brought him back is because of Hackett. Like, I think he's going to be able to – he runs that 2 running back system pretty well, as evident by last
Good
year.
point.
So, kind of like it. And it seemed like both the A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones were effective last year. Obviously, Aaron Jones wasn't the Aaron Jones of usual, but both guys were really effective. So, yeah. All right. So the over/under on the win total is sitting at 10, and they have the easiest schedule according to strength of schedule in this division. They are sitting at the middle of the pack.
That's because they play. That's because they play the Panthers. They also play the Jets. So they get the 2 from the AFC East and from the NFC South. They get the 2 easiest opponents because of where they finished last year. That's why they have the easiest schedule in this division for sure.
So maybe that's why everybody's so high on the Broncos, because their schedule is the easiest in that division. I don't know.
Well, you would think that they would have 2 extra wins. I mean, that's basically what you're looking at between the Panthers and the Jets. But I mean, hey, the Jets beat the Bengals last year, so who knows?
All right, so the win total, like I said, over/under at 10. So, Tyler, I'll lead it off with you, man. Overall grade and over/under.
Yeah, I was looking at their schedule, and it's like you can definitely find 9, maybe 10, maybe 11 wins on their schedule, which is why I would lean probably to over, but I would say right on that 10. I would say they go 10-7 and finish crazy. 10-7 is going to finish last in this division, but I could see all 3 of these, all 4 teams in this division getting to the playoffs. As crazy as that sounds, it could happen. I've got them at 10-7. Like I said, their offseason grade, like I said, I gave them a B. I think they did some stuff outside of Russell Wilson, like Randy Gregory, DJ Jones, obviously drafting Benito, I thought was pretty good. But like overall, it wasn't anything that like blew me away. And it's nothing that like, how much more is Russell Wilson over Teddy Bridgewater? I agree. He might be 2 wins, maybe 3 wins at most.
Come on now.
But I don't think he's
Come on now.
I mean, let's be real. What do you think? Russell Wilson's going to give them 5 more wins? They finished with like 7 wins last year. I think maybe 6 wins last year. So if you're giving them
pure wins basis,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to say that any quarterback is this many more wins
Because they
over,
didn't rely on Teddy
but
Bridgewater last year,
Russell Wilson's like a top 8 quarterback versus Teddy Bridgewater's like bottom 8. Like,
I'm not saying that they didn't upgrade, but I'm just saying they're not going to jump to a 13-4 team in this division.
I think it's possible.
well, I think that speaks a little bit more to the division than it does to the Broncos specifically.
Yeah, but I that's what I'm getting to is like how much better is this team now with Russell Wilson? Putting everything into perspective as far as the division that they're in, the players that are now around him compared to Teddy Bridgewater, the new coach that's coming in. How much better is this team now with what they've done in this offseason? And I don't know if it's putting them above the Chiefs, above the Chargers, and they're right there with the Raiders. I think the Raiders are a better team than the Broncos, and that's how I feel. That's why I have them finishing last. But I had them finishing going 10-7. You put them in the AFC South, they go 13-4.
I 100% agree with you, but if you're trying to tell me that there's not much of a difference between Teddy Bridgewater and Russell Wilson as far as wins go, not gonna take
in the grand scheme of things. That's what I'm looking at. Is like when you look at the whole product and you sit there and boil it down and you go game by game and look at the entire schedule, put the other teams in the division there, things that you brought in. How many more wins can he get you? Because that's what it boils down to. I mean, the league's based on wins. You're talking about Brandon Staley. If they go 8-9, he's gone. I mean, no matter how many crazy offensive numbers you put up and no matter how great your team looks, if you don't get the wins, then that's all that matters at the end of the day.
They're going to rely on Russell Wilson a lot more than they ever did Teddy Bridgewater. Like Teddy Bridgewater,
I would agree. I absolutely. The whole scheme changes for them. Everything changes on how they're going to run their team for sure. But I just wonder how many more wins are you going to get?
Fair enough. So what's your grade?
I gave them a B. Like I said, I thought that they did. Obviously, bringing in Russell Wilson is big. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not. But outside of that, bringing in Gregory was good. I thought it was a fat contract, though.
Especially for a guy who was trying to almost had contingencies in his contract in Dallas.
It's the same thing with like some of these other teams in the AFC. Like you're trying to win now, but unfortunately, there's 9 other teams in the AFC that are doing the same exact thing. I would say 5, maybe 6 of those are doing better than what you're doing. And that's just the problem that you're running into. That's what the Titans, we talked about Titans. Unfortunately, they've found themselves between a rock and a hard place because it's like, well, we've got these contracts. We've got these players that are in win now mode. We have to win with what we've got. And they felt like their opportunity to win now was going out and get Russell Wilson. So, I mean, if they don't win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years, then what?
It's another quarterback fail, quarterback swing and miss in Denver, if that's the case. I'll go ahead and I like the B. I'll go ahead and slap a B on him. I like Nate Hackett. Like I like it. I don't love it. Like I like it. Like I can see it working, but like is he a Josh McDaniels? No. And it's in my opinion it's not really close. But you bring in Russell Wilson, obviously. Randy Gregory like that. Yeah. I'll go ahead and give him a B-. Yeah, B-.
Where does the Nate Hackett rank? Where does that rank on the 9 coaches that were hired this year?
I like
probably middle of the pack.
Yeah,
like 4 or 5,
something like that. Yeah.
So would you take him over McDaniel?
No.
Would you take him over O'Connell?
No, I like O'Connell. I would take him over Dougie P, Lovie Smith.
McDaniels?
Not McDaniel.
Brian Dable, I wouldn't take him over. And then Eberflus?
No. I'm taking Hackett over
Eberflus.
That's what I'm.
I would take him over Eberflus and Lovey, and then the Doug Petersons at Tulsa.
Fair enough. All right, but I'll go ahead and go. The over/under on the win total is 10. I will go ahead. I think it sits right at 10. I agree with you. It's it's hard. They're not as good as the other teams in this division. They're probably the worst team in this division, but it's their schedule. They have the easiest schedule. So, all right, Jaden, what you got?
I'm going under, and I'm gonna sit at 9. I might even go 8. I know their schedule's easy, but you want to talk about newness. You have a new quarterback. You have a new head coach. You have a new offensive coordinator who, with that head coach, is going to bring a new offensive scheme. You have a new defensive coordinator who that head coach is replacing the head coach that brought the defensive scheme. So you might be with a new defensive scheme. And on top of all that, you just got a new owner too. So top to bottom, things are changing.
For the better, though.
Yeah, hopefully.
With the Chiefs, it was kind of for the worse,
But we talked much more glowingly about Kansas City. I
only gave Kansas City one more win.
That's fair. I do think Denver finishes last in this division. While they do overall have a better roster than Vegas, I do believe that. I just think that there's so much newness in Denver. Like there's going to be a lot going on there. And I don't like this receiving core. I don't like this weaponry as much as everybody is like making it out to be. Everybody makes this out like they're like Tampa Bay when they had AB. Like this is an average. This is your average NFL receiving room. No, it's average. Like they're three deep. KJ Hamler is like a solid 4 receiver. Like if Mecole Hardman's a solid 4 receiver, KJ Hamler's a solid 4 receiver, and everybody's like shitting their pants about KJ Hamler and like how good he could potentially be here. I don't care. Like he's
second round pick, right?
I think so.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he tore his ACL in his rookie year and then didn't like show much or play at all. I've never been a huge Cortland Sutton guy. I've never really been that big of a Tim Patrick guy. I think Jerry Jeudy's fine, but
if Jerry Jeudy develops into a number one, like I don't think Cortland Sutton is a number one.
Obviously I don't
think Cortland Sutton is a number one. Don't get me wrong. Like I think he's a really good number 2 wide receiver on another on another team. On a Super Bowl team.
Can Jerry Jeudy be a 1?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if
I think Jerry Jeudy could be a 1. The problem is you've never been able to see the flashes, which kind of hard to not see flashes. But with a slow route running wide receiver with bad quarterback play, because the separator, he's like it's all timing and stuff, and Drew Lock just never had that because he was the big arm guy. So you never got to see that out of Jerry Jeudy, which is why I don't really have the faith that, like, just off of what I've seen already, I don't know if he can be. With Russell Wilson, that could obviously change because Russell Wilson is a very good football player and is a vet and has played with a bunch of different receivers. So maybe that changes, but I'm just not head over heels about this offense or this team in general.
Fair enough. All right. I think that just about does us, boys. So
I was going to say, real quick, how many teams from this division make the playoffs?
3.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3.
I say 3 as well.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. It's either Denver or the Chiefs that don't make the playoffs, in my opinion.
What? You think the Raiders have a better chance to make it than the Chiefs?
Yeah, I've got the Raiders and the Broncos as being the 2 teams that wouldn't make it, because I think that you're going to have 2 from the AFC North, and then, man, it's going to be between like.
I'm telling you, man, it's tough
because you got the Dolphins in there as well. You got the Colts and Titans. I
really like the Dolphins at first, but now like after doing all these ranked these off seasons, it's like the Dolphins slowly just keep falling down.
It's the AFC, man.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here
like
in the optimism. I'm sitting here with optimism about the Steelers. I'm like listing all these good things that are working for us. We might be like the 11th best team in the conference.
Yep.
Like, it sucks.
It's the Texans, the Jags, the Jets, and honestly, the Patriots, I think. As the bottom 4.
I think the Pats finished last in the AFC East. I can't remember if I said that in the AFC East episode.
I think we both
wanted to. But yeah, I think the Pats are going to finish last. The problem is
Daniels,
and I'm starting to retract that. The Jets' first 8 weeks is like a death sentence.
It is.
And
it's tough.
They're too young to be able to handle that easily. And New England on the opposite end, they can all handle that with Bill and all. But yeah.
All right.
Big weekend. Big weekend in Boston, by the way. U.S. Open tees off tomorrow, right outside Boston, and Game 6, Celtics Warriors, is in Boston tomorrow night. So Boston's going to be buzzing tomorrow night as far as other sports.
Let's hope Klay Thompson and Draymond Green don't bitch about fans yelling obscenities. Like, what the fuck, boys?
Big Celtics fan over here. Look at this guy.
Dude, I'm tired of the Celtics are the better team. Like, I'm sorry, but like, they're more athletic. The reason the Celtics have lost their games is Curry went off one game, and then the one game the Warriors had to win at home, which I get. But then the last game, the Celtics just blew it.
Yeah.
The Celtics.
How much? Steph didn't make a 3 for the first time since like 2018. Like,
I know, and they lost.
I swear to God, if Andrew Wiggins wins the Finals MVP, I'll have no idea what to do with myself. Dude,
that bust title is all.
Time isn't real. Time isn't real. But dude, honestly, I'm telling you, something about Jason Tatum. I can't buy in. As like a number 1 option on a legit championship team, I just can't buy in. I don't know why. I know they're 2 wins away.
Yeah, I know why. Because you're bitter that that he
Yeah,
could have
dude,
been
I'm
the
not-
Sixers.
I know he could have been a Sixer,
Yeah.
and he would have been a perfect dude. Imagine putting him with Simmons. No,
Dude, isn't
We're not gonna
Jason
do that.
Tatum still like 24? Like, and you're already writing him off?
he's 19. Jason Tatum is 19. Jason Tatum will forever be 19. But like, I don't know. There's just something about him that just irks me. Like,
Jeez.
I just like Jaylen Brown like so much more than Tatum, who we also could have had. So no bias.
Jaylen Brown's just too turnover. I mean, they're both turnover prone, but like Jaylen Brown with the ball just gives me a heart attack.
Oh yeah, because oh my, like that whole like he's got that dog in him. That is a problem at times because he will literally take a dribble, grab the ball, and run into the paint. And that dog sometimes it looks great when it works, but then it's just a ball off the knee or something like that. But
But
I don't know what it is, man.
he does have that dog in him, though. You know,
As far as old dogs are concerned,
Al Horford.
double coming up for Mr. Al
Al
Horford
He's a
tomorrow
dog.
night, calling it.
He's 100%. Oh.
the hell, dude, fuck that guy. I
And
don't.
you know who's
It's too
ascended
bad.
into
Yeah, I mean, Boston is a
Well-
fucking fantastic organization. You go over to Philly, automatically you're just trash. That's so weird. How that
Well,
works.
or just tried to pair him with another center, and that doesn't work.
I was
when-
gonna say, I think Bobby Will has a case for MVP.
All right.
If the Celtics were to win, like who on the Celtics has really like Tatum's had his bad moments, Brown's had his bad moments, Smart's had his bad moments.
PP.
Robert Williams has been the most consistent player.
Father, Time Lord. Yes, sir. All right. Well, that was a nice end of the podcast. Get some buckets, for those who made it this long,
And some-
especially on the
And
audio.
some links,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
don't
crazy
forget
thing.
about golf,
I
man.
was gonna be at that game, the freaking Dodgers game tonight. Because me and Chloe were gonna go to California. I was gonna go to that game. I could have watched an almost no hitter.
And then
Yeah.
then leave because you're extremely pissed after the no hitters given up.
Now I got to go watch like the Rockies or something in July.
Good luck with that.
When are you going? This is completely off topic. When are you going?
13th through the 26th of July. So,
Birthday's the 23rd, so if Dodgers are home, definitely hit it up. It's on a Saturday, so
yeah, there you
There
go.
we go. Making some.
I'll be back in Maryland for 4th of July. By the
We're a
way,
multi-sport podcast here, man.
Yeah.
Despite.
We're blitz buckets and bases.
Oh fuck! That absolutely fucks.
Come on, man.
That
Come on,
name.
man.
Holy
And-
shit! All right, we need to end it right there.
and
'Cause that's-
and birdies. No golf, no golf.
No,
interest.
birdies. I like that, but in the you need to list it off. It needs to come off
Yeah.
the tongue all at once, So
I get hyped for the majors, and with all that's going on with the live,
let's go live,
EA
man.
stuff,
Let's go live.
It's gonna be
Let's get these.
awesome to see.
Let's get these golfers
so
their
much
fucking money,
content
bro.
this weekend.
Let's go live. I'm totally.
all that dirty Saudi money.
I'm all in on the live, dude. Fuck it. There isn't dirty money everywhere else in the world right now. It's like we want to bitch about the.
You're not
Live
wrong.
tour. Okay.
You're not
Yeah.
wrong. You're not
All
wrong.
right. All right. Well, for the Blitz podcast, Jaden Kozak, Tyler North, Kane Schwartz signing off. We'll catch you tomorrow. Should be an earlier version tomorrow, not an after hours pod. So hyped to do that, but we'll catch you.